Chapter 1759. It's here. A true battle between the top. The hidden Saint Kings in the sword domain all appeared in the air. They were either from ninth-rank sects or hidden aristocratic families of various regions. But today, this battle had shaken all the old monsters out. No one below the quasi-god level would be willing to miss this battle. The battle between those who stood at the top of the Saint Kings. As if their hearts were connected, the ancient dragon flew and brought Lin Chen away from Fong Ling and the others. Lin Chen smiled casually at them and said, "Let's fight to our heart's content." The servants did not answer. Instead, they focused all their attention on the other party. The true dragon Saint King stomped his feet, and the true dragon Saint Qi under his feet danced as he flew down. Ying Jiufeng turned around and asked Jin Taichu and Jiang Pui seriously, "Are you guys confident?" Jin Taichu ignored him. His cold appearance ignited a trace of battle intent. He slowly pulled out the red sword on his back, and a blood moon-like sword light soared into the sky. The terrifying sword intent tore through the void of the unbounded sea. Seeing everyone's confident appearance, Ying Jiufeng retreated to the side. From now on, it was the time for the gods to fight. Even someone as strong as Ying Jiufeng could not casually interfere. Being surrounded by this group of people, even he would be in trouble, because this was not a one-on-one battle, but a group battle, and an unprecedented group battle. Whoosh, whoosh. Both sides' diviners rose into the air. Jiang Taishu held the carefree flag, while Heartbreak Red held the judge's brush. Two mysterious auras swept across like hurricanes and opened up a unique spatial domain. At this moment, the spatial domain actually covered half of the sword domain. Everyone was shocked. The Saint King exclaimed in shock, "It's actually the diviner domain." The diviner domain was one of the ultimate techniques that only the top saint diviners could use. Anyone who was in the diviner domain would be able to see through every movement of any living being. It was the strongest battle prediction. In the history of the human race, there were no more than 5 people who could use this technique. Who would have thought that they would see it today? The two of them activated the diviner domain and moved their fingertips. Jiang Taishu and Heartbreak Red spoke at the same time. Qian 6. Jia Shun Gum position. 4 afterimages collided in the void. Surging saber intent and sword intent rushed into the sky, condensing and not dissipating. The sky rumbled, as if heaven and earth were being shattered. In the void, the 4 silhouettes were intercepted. Swords and sabers intersected. Sword shadows and saber light. This was the strongest trump card of both sides. Fong Ling versus Jin Taichu. Lang Fanyun versus Jiang Pui. Godly speed sky splitting. Wave and rain dust. Fong Ling and Lang Fanyun's unique skills exploded. They raised their swords and slashed furiously. Sword will burst out, and one sword turned into 10,000 swords. Lang Fanyun drew his saber and swung it horizontally. His saber swept up countless raindrops and struck the void. For the first time since Jin Taichu and Jiang Pui had been released from prison, their fighting spirits surged. He took a step forward and rushed forward to meet the enemy head-on. Jin Taichu held his sword and pierced out. His sword was like a dragon, and the dragon Qi that enveloped the sword shadow crushed Fong Ling's countless sword shadows. One sword broke 10,000 swords. With the saber in his hand, Jiang Pui's tyrannical aura surged as he took a step forward with the saber in hand. Using his body as a saber, he shattered all of Lang Fanyun's saber Qi. However, the first wave of attacks was only a test. The 4 of them arrived in front of each other almost instantaneously. Clang! Clang! 2 sabers and 2 swords collided at the same time. Terrifying sword will and saber will surged and stirred the clouds and the sky. The strongest from both sides faced off against the strongest from the start of the battle. Kaboom! Qi! Qi! The atmosphere suddenly burst into flames. The blood-robed man wielded a halberd with a flame dragon entwined around it. Stepping on flames, he stabbed his halberd at the team at lightning speed, aiming straight for Jiang Taishu. Chila, a bolt of lightning appeared out of nowhere. The lightning spear knocked the flame dragon halberd away. Almost without any warning, the blood-robed man swung his halberd rapidly, striking 1,000 times in an instant. Bam! 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 Lightning dragons appeared one after another, dancing in the shadows of the halberd, pushing forward layer by layer toward the blood-robed man. With a loud explosion, both sides retreated from the torrent of lightning and fire. 10,000 thunders rumbled, and 10,000 flames blazed. The two of them looked at each other, and violent fighting spirit soared into the sky. Fire maniac Ri Wuxia. War maniac Shangwan Wudi. Rip. Almost at the same moment the former exchanged blows, the sound of wind breaking could be heard from both sides. Like a wild saber, cloud shadows and divine light swept across the sky. It was too fast. The sacred kings outside couldn't see it clearly at all. One of them raised his leg and slashed horizontally. The other's fist was as fierce as a dragon. Boom! Bam! Bam! In the void, a fist and a leg collided and then retreated. Both sides stood still and were evenly matched. One of them was shrouded in divine light, turning into a sacred king of light. The other stood on cloud shadows and flew in the sky. His blood-red cape fluttered slightly in the wind, looking elegant and awe-inspiring. Blood Sovereign Yun Tingguang, descendant of the divine light, Queen Lin Yuguang. The next moment, a majestic figure suddenly rose above each of their heads. Long Jiushan raised his ghost dragon's sacred axe, and the veins on his arms bulged. Heavenly dragon-like dragon aura filled his sacred body, and his terrifying pure strength seemed to shatter the clouds and sky. Qing Wangu held the annihilation lightning hammer with both hands and swallowed the stars and the moon. Endless storms seemed to be brewing in his sacred body, and they instantly erupted. Yun Tingguang and Lin Yuguang's figures immediately tilted slightly. Whoosh! When the two of them retreated with heaven-defying speed, they instantly exchanged blows again, and the two people behind them suddenly waved their hands. Chi! Bam! 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 The entire unbounded ocean was instantly stirred up by an endless spatial storm. Terrifying air waves rolled over, stirring up mountains and rivers, shattering thousands of rivers. Taiwan Overlord Qing Wangu, Dragon Sovereign Long Jiushan. The two of them each took 3 steps back. Qing Wangu was slightly surprised, as if he was surprised that Long Jiushan could contend with him. He smiled and said, "You have some strength." Long Jiushan grinned. "You're not bad either." Again, Qing Wangu raised the annihilation lightning hammer and smashed it down furiously. Long Jiushan slashed with his axe, brazen and fearless. Bam! Bam! Boom! The two of them fought fiercely, and the wind was unceasing. The mouths of many spectating sacred kings twitched. Damn, it's too terrifying. These two people were practically ancient sacred beasts in human form. This kind of physique-tempering power was simply inhuman. Almost at the moment when the two physique-tempering overlords started fighting, Jiang Taishu and Heartbreak Red competed with each other and sent voice transmissions at the same time. Jiazi position, Cho position. In an instant, space rumbled. Terrifying avatars swept up from both sides. On one side, wind and thunder roared, and on the other side, raging flames burned the sky. On the opposite side, the green-robed man held the sky-piercing bow and released an arrow. The arrow transformed into a shocking bolt of lightning, violent and swift. It was actually aimed at Long Jiushan. Long Jiushan's expression did not change, and he was unmoved. He waved his giant axe and fought head-on with Qing Wangu, slashing and chopping all the way, looking aggressive. Chi! Bam! A beam of divine flames shot through heaven and earth, and that bolt of lightning suddenly exploded. The flames in the void blazed and scattered in all directions. It was actually shot and intercepted. The green-robed man was slightly surprised and looked up. Chief Ian held a red bow in his hand, stepped on huge waves of flames, and wore a purple gold robe, looking extraordinarily handsome. The son of the wind god Tang Fonlei, the sky-burning arrow sage, Chief Ian. Chief Ian raised his hand, drew his bow, and shot a divine flame arrow that could pierce through the sun, moon, and stars. Good timing. I like to see how many arrows you can take from me. Tang Fonlei held the arrow, and the arrow turned into a dark green color. He shot it fiercely, and its speed skyrocketed. Both sides instantly went all out. As they shot arrows at each other, they would shoot arrows from time to time, aiming at people in the opposite camp. It could be said that it was impossible to guard against, one after another. Suddenly, one of Tang Fenglei's swift thunderbolt arrows sank into the distorted void and disappeared. In the next moment, it was already above Jiang Taishu's head, aiming directly at the opponent's head. What? This strange sneak attack stunned all the holy kings who were watching the battle. What's going on? However, the silvery white spatial light bloomed like a flower. The swift thunderbolt arrow, which was less than 10,000 feet away from Jiang Taishu, disappeared in an instant. When it reappeared, it had already shot toward the north. A handsome man in white appeared in midair, suspended in the void like a ghost, and looked down. A beautiful figure, as beautiful as a fairy, floated in the void. Both sides looked at each other, and their killing, intense sword. The only successor of the space-time, still God, Zhou Baichuan. The only wielder of spatial magic, Shaoling, that arrow that appeared and disappeared in the blink of an eye, was all thanks to the two of them. Shaoling, her smile was beautiful and cold. It's always you guys who took the initiative to attack. It's our turn now. She waved her slender fingers, and a silver light flashed explosively. Space shifted. In an instant, two ghostly afterimages flashed across the sky. Flying daggers streaked past like flowing light, aiming to take Zhou Baichuan's head. Zhou Baichuan's hair stood on end. The cold light pierced his bones, as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. The terrifying killing intent even slowed his reaction by a beat. It was annihilation of heaven and earth. The two of them were teleported over by Shaoling, and their timing was almost perfect. Clang, clang. Two horns rose up like spikes, and the flying daggers were blocked. The two figures that appeared out of thin air suddenly stood on Zhou Baichuan's left and right. The two indifferent youths had the same appearance and temperament, but the horns on their heads were different. One was golden, and the other was silver. Twin holy nascent souls, golden horn, seizing life, silver horn, returning to heaven. Twin destruction, annihilation of heaven and earth. Seizing life and returning to heaven immediately disappeared, entering the void. Annihilation of heaven and earth, whose sneak attack had failed, turned into darkness and disappeared again. But Shaoling, smiled knowingly and imitated Lin Chen's appearance, snapping her fingers. Smack! A series of spatial silver lights appeared at the location where the sneak attack had failed. Zhou Baichuan was moved. Annihilation of heaven and earth still had a trick up his sleeve. When the silver light dispersed, it transformed into 3 stars that flickered with a cold light. Whoosh! Between heaven and earth, starlight flashed continuously. There were 12 types of Tao Palace array formations. A golden bull descended and crashed into the sky. A divine dragon's afterimage entangled and swept away everything with its tail. Heaven and earth returned to one selfless star palace. When the cold shout sounded, the handsome Zi Qianshou held the jade sea longevity flute in his hand. When the flute sounded, 12 shining pillars of stars suddenly bloomed between heaven and earth. Each pillar of stars represented a type of star palace array formation. They turned into stars, sinking into the sun, moon, and rivers, and attacked Heartbreak Red. Clang! His fingertips plucked the strings, and the sound of the zither was loud and clear. An elegant white-robed figure sat cross-legged in the void. His fingertips plucked the strings lightly, and the sound of the zither was like waves. All Tao returned to origin, 8 zither overlapping sounds. The sound of the zither was like waves, rising wave after wave. The melody of the entire battlefield became cold and murderous. The sound of the zither transformed into countless arrays, overlapping each other and surrounding the space around Heartbreak Red. The sound waves shook and suddenly hit the 12 pillars of stars. Boom, boom, boom. The pillars of stars dispersed, and the sound waves disappeared. A heart-wrenching song, Where Can I Find a Soulmate? The white-robed figure placed his fingers on the strings of the zither and looked at Zi Qianqiu in front of him. The creator of the 12-star palace array formations, Zi Qianqiu, the only successor of the all-Tao return to origin array formation, Xiangbei's. Zi Qianqiu's gaze turned, and he stared at the elegant white-robed man in the distance. Zi Qianqiu suddenly smiled and said, using the sound Tao to enter the formation, "You've reached the acme of perfection. You're truly worthy of being a grandmaster." Xiangbei's said calmly, "It's hard to find a soulmate. Please enjoy this song." As he spoke, Xiangbei's raised his hand, and his fingers shook the strings of the zither. The sound waves were like countless blades that shot out in all directions. Zi Qianqiu did not say anything. He also used the array formation to fight against his opponent. Both sides covered each other's teammates and attacked with all their might. In the space where both sides' arrays were opened, the wind and clouds suddenly changed. 2 unfathomable primordial spirit powers suddenly intertwined. They released a primordial spirit barrier that covered the sky. In the primordial spirit barrier, countless primordial spirit powers turned into arrows and shot toward Jiangwan and Situ Changsheng. Opposite them were 2 graceful and enchanting women. They did not have a physical body, and their lower bodies were like wisps of smoke. They were so beautiful that they could captivate even birds and beasts. They were like heavenly concubines that had descended to the world. They were peerless. Primordial Spirit Peach Arrow, 10,000 Miles Flying Flower, Tao Yao Yao, and Tao Zhizhi. Tao Zhizhi giggled and said, "Sister, their primordial spirit powers seem to be very rich." Her sister, Tao Yao Yao, licked her red lips and said, "Then let's suck them dry." Jiang Wan'er blocked dozens of primordial spirit arrows. As she retreated, she stroked her sword lightly, and her eyes became sharper. Situ Changsheng stood side by side with her, and their primordial spirit powers enveloped each other. The whole space shook, and the terrifying primordial spirit powers overflowed outside the world. At this moment, the strange phenomenon in the outside world suddenly changed. Heartbroken Red smiled evilly. It was as if he had used a trump card to decide the outcome of the battle. At this moment, a cold shout spread throughout the sky. "A bunch of trash, get out of my way." The beautiful woman in the black dress twisted her slender waist and waved her jade-like hand. Saint Power coiled around her like a poisonous snake and summoned a pitch-black space. Jiang Taishi frowned. He felt an unusual aura that could destroy the world. When they saw the change in the sky, all the Saint Kings trembled in fear, and their eyes revealed a fearful expression. The Saint King mumbled to himself, Is this really a power that the human race can control?" In the darkness that covered the sky, brilliant auroras flashed. 1 to 10, 10 to 100, and 100 to 10,000. Tens of thousands of vast stars had turned into meteors, burning with fire and rolling down. They cut through the night sky and fell from the sky into the sword domain. The area covered by the falling stars was the entire battlefield. The area that they fell in was almost 1/5 of the sword domain. Once this apocalyptic meteor shower fell, countless people below the 9th Revolution Saint would die. "Ah, it's too beautiful. Look at how desperate you all are. This prince will be merciful and accept them." A beautiful woman in a black dress crossed her arms in front of her chest and laughed wildly. Her crazy and deadly beauty bloomed in her madness. Crazy. This woman is a complete lunatic. Run, run, it's too late. The range is too big. whether it was the criminals in the holy prison or the experts of the Alliance. All of them showed a look of despair. There was no time to escape. Only Lin Chen's servants looked determined, as if they always believed that Lin Chen's team would never lose. Ayaya, if we let this crazy woman continue, we won't be able to defend the limitless sea. While they were talking and laughing, an old figure appeared in the sky. The old man tapped the void with his walking stick and laughed casually. Heaven and earth are heartless, treating all things as straw dogs. The six paths do not rotate, eating evil spirits as food. Rumble. The situation changed again. A huge door opened above the old man's head, and the aura of death swept through the hearts of all the experts. Creak. The huge door opened, and countless evil spirits from hell, including the extinct Kuan Peng clan, turned into Kuan ghosts and rushed forward. There are the extinct, devouring ghosts of the insect clan and the Azura ghosts that had been sleeping for a long time. There were the ghosts of the descendants of the 5 great beast gods, vermilion bird, black tortoise, and so on. Countless evil spirits rushed out of the huge door as if they had come from hell, charging into the sky and crashing into the countless stars that were about to fall into the sword domain. The invasion of the evil spirits shattered the meteor shower into countless stars, scattering across the sky of the sword domain. The stars under the night sky reflected the beautiful woman in black and the old man with the walking stick. The forbidden technique, wildflower, black rose. 100 burial elder, Ji Wuchen. Black Rose held her cheeks that were flushed with excitement, and a crazy smile appeared on her face. There's someone like me in the sacred boundary. You're amazing. Ji Wuchen smiled. I'm not here to satisfy you, crazy. Forbidden secret technique versus forbidden secret technique. Seeing this, even the experts of the Alliance who were her enemies breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Ji Wuchen stopped her. When this crazy woman fought, she did not differentiate between friend and foe. Yet, such a person had mastered the most terrifying forbidden technique in the world. All the experts who were trying to take advantage of the situation extinguished their thoughts when they saw this scene. ***, were they not courting death? The chaotic battle in the unbounded ocean had become the most terrifying battle circle of all the main battlefields. Compared to these 34 people, the other experts and even the Saint King's battle circle paled in comparison to these 34 people. How is this possible? The true dragon Saint King and Ying Jiufeng, who had retreated to the side, were shocked. When they looked at Lin Chen again, their eyes were filled with unconcealable shock. They were very clear about the strength and background of the 17 people from the Eye of Hell. Even if Lin Chen's team had all broken through to Holy King, they should not have the ability to fight against them. Their cultivation methods, mental cultivation methods, and holy weapons had all evolved to a whole new level. The only person who could allow them to have such a terrifying breakthrough was him. Lin Chen. Only someone like him would be able to do such a deranged thing. The true dragon Saint King stared at Lin Chen and gritted his teeth. This kid is so strong. If he's given a few more years, won't he be able to pierce through the sky and pierce through the earth? Sensing the gazes of the two, Lin Chen turned around and smiled. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? There's still a lot of surprises left for you. Just as everyone was fighting in full swing, on the other side, Qin Jiuxiao stared at the cold and indifferent Yi Qianxuan. He was unprecedentedly solemn as he broke out in cold sweat. The supreme one-punch, Yi Qianxuan. All the cultivation methods and mental cultivation methods were cultivated to the peak of one punch. His attack was at the peak, and he was risking his life. One punch to determine victory and defeat, life and death. Qin Jiuxiao cursed in his heart. How annoying. They actually left the most troublesome person to him. Everyone was showing off. Only Jiuxiao was not beaten up. He wanted to beat him up, but he did not dare. Chapter 1760. The battle circle in the center of the unbounded ocean was getting more and more chaotic. Many experts retreated again and again. The battle between the two most terrifying epic teams in the world was like a fight between immortals. Whoever got close would suffer. Even ordinary sage kings had to stay away. Ing Jiufeng didn't attack immediately. Instead, he was more and more shocked when he looked around the battle circle. Except for those 17 people, everyone in Lin Shen's team was abnormally powerful. Ing Jiufeng's eyes were extremely sharp, and he was able to see through the trick. He was shocked. Just like the other 17 people, these fellows are using saint artifacts and cultivation techniques that are beyond their original grade. They are far stronger than those of the same grade. Almost all of Lin Shen's people had the combat power to fight above their level or even 2 levels. Besides shock, Ing Jiufeng also felt a strong sense of jealousy. That's right, jealousy. The top 10 on the Saint Talent list should be standing at the peak of the sacred boundary. Except for the few monsters in the top 10, no one should be more outstanding than Ing Jiufeng. But today, Lin Shen showed his means, foundation, and potential. No matter which aspect it was, he crushed Ing Jiufeng. Not surpassed, but crushed. How could such a monster be born in the sacred boundary? The killing intent in Ing Jiufeng's eyes became stronger and stronger. Today's battle was his last chance to kill Lin Shen. Whoosh! At that moment, the 2 patriarchs of the Einerjar family used the Einerjar step and came over. They stared at Lin Ping and Lin Shen with gloomy expressions. Lin Ping and his pain disaster outbreak caused a large number of Wu family experts to retreat. There were even many experts who left before they could fight because of the disaster. Pain disaster, brat. I'm going to kill you first. The 2 patriarchs were furious. Before the 2 sides could fight, the heaven and earth avatar changed again. 2 divine flames appeared out of thin air, and the world was bright red. Ha ha! I didn't expect my divine flame palace to experience such a huge scene. I haven't seen you for many years. I didn't expect your divine flame palace to grow to this extent. It really makes me happy. At that moment, 2 old figures bathed in fire slowly walked out of the divine flames. One of them was a beautiful woman in a palace dress with an exquisite figure. The other was an old woman with a walking stick. Her eyes occasionally flashed with light. Elder Xian Yu's face lit up. You 2 old farts, you're finally back. The beautiful woman in the palace dress glared at her. Be respectful when you speak. Don't be rude. Who are you calling old? Lin Shen glanced at the 2 people in the sky. Their auras were profound and unfathomable. They were at the same level as Elder Xian Yu, or even stronger. The old woman looked at the people around Shangguanju and said emotionally, "The calamity of pain can even subdue such an existence." She took a deep look at Lin Shen and smiled amiably. "Are you the young man that Xian Yu mentioned, Lin Shen? Very good, very good. Our sacred boundary actually gave birth to a genius like you. Divine Flame Palace will be in your care in the future." Lin Shen said with a faint smile. "After the Divine Flame Palace? If we lose here, there will be no future for the Divine Flame Palace. Senior, are you so confident that I can win?" The old woman laughed. "Just you? You're bold enough." Lin Shen called her professional and gave her thumbs up. "You have good taste." These 2 people were the 2 remaining patriarchs of the Divine Flame Palace. Elder Xian, you had already used the secret method of the Divine Flame Palace to send a message to them and told them about the current situation of the Divine Flame Palace and Lin Shen's situation. They were also very interested in this young man who had turned the tide and stirred up the sacred boundary by himself. They had specially rushed back to the sacred boundary from a distant galaxy to participate in the battle. The 2 elders of the Einerjar family were shocked and lost their voices. "Luoyan, UFA, you 2 old farts are still alive." The beautiful woman in the palace dress turned around and sneered. "You 2 old farts are still alive. How can we die?" The old woman stood in front of Lin Shen and said casually with a smile, "I will stop these 2 old farts in today's battle. Lin Shen, brat, bring your men and fight to your heart's content. These 2 old farts won't affect you at all." The 2 elders of the Einerjar family instantly looked gloomy. Both sides were experts of the same era. Before the sacred boundary was established, they were already all-powerful sage kings. It was really impossible to determine the victor in a short time. Big sister, I'll go first. The beautiful woman in the palace dress flashed toward the two of them. Damn it, stop the two of them first. The two elders used the Einherjar steps and punched each other head-on. The corners of the beautiful woman's mouth curled up. She raised her snow-white hand toward the sky, and layers of raging flames surged. Flames of extinction burned the heavens as she used the Divine Flame Palace's ultimate technique. 9 extinction sky-burning palm. Boom! Bang! 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 The four of them started fighting. The higher-ups of the Divine Flame Palace and the Einherjar family instantly engaged in the most intense battle. Then, the true dragon Saint King stepped out. He looked at Lin Shan with a cold expression. The most powerful sage king in the sacred prison finally decided to fight to the death. Lin Ping, An's petite figure crossed and blocked in front of Lin Shun. Leave him to me. Lin Shun was surprised. He nodded and said, Be careful. He could feel that Lin Ping An's current aura was even more terrifying than before. The true dragon Saint King sneered. Back then, I was the one who was ordered to capture you. Even if you condensed into a spiritual body now, I can still capture you. Lin Ping An's lips curled up slightly. So much nonsense. Lin Ping An stamped her foot. Heaven and earth roared. 10 vast calamity storms suddenly appeared out of thin air, enveloping the entire area and pushing toward the sage kings of the sacred prison. The true dragon Saint King's sleeve shook, and 5 golden true dragons formed by his sage power rushed forward. Boom! The two of them clashed, and the unbounded ocean became even more chaotic. Elder Black Moon wanted to help Lin Ping in, but hundreds of fox shadows rushed over, and the 1,000 Fox Saint King appeared. The 1,000 Fox Saint King raised his fingers, and a hint of evil appeared on his fair face. He chuckled and said, Chief Elder of the Divine Flame Palace, let me play with you. Elder Black Moon said indifferently, Inyang people, rotten ass. Lin Chen burst out laughing. What? The 1,000 Fox Saint King was furious. Lin Chen said, Sorry, I've received professional training. I usually don't laugh unless I hear something honest. Boom! The 1,000 Fox Saint King's palm smashed out layers of heavenly fox shadows. His fox tail swayed, and bright holy light swept toward Lin Shun and Elder Black Moon. Elder Black Moon flicked her sleeves, and after shattering the heavenly fox shadows, she immediately said, Leave this guy to me. Lin Shun and Shang Guanjue looked at each other and smiled teasingly. Can you handle it? Shang Guanjue, who had always been strong, smiled mischievously and winked at him. Don't I still have you? Lin Shun shuddered as if he had been electrocuted. He thought to himself, even a dragon spear can't withstand a young woman's flirtatious eyes. Immediately, Lin Chen's holy dragon appeared. He smiled casually and said, My holy dragon will help you. I'll leave the remaining 3 sage kings in the holy purgatory to you. Lin Chen was very confident in Shang Guanjue. All of his people had gone through system strengthening, and Shang Guanjue's combat power was not what it used to be. As soon as the holy dragon appeared, the phenomenon between heaven and earth changed again. The winds and clouds changed. Boundless crimson divine radiance shot down from the 9 heavens, and it actually formed a grand path of divine radiance that stretched down from the horizon. At this moment, the expressions of the sage kings hidden in the sword domain changed. Chapter 1761. The path of divine light entwined with countless ancient Cheelants, creating many strange phenomena. On the great path of divine radiance, the overlapping shadows of sunflowers bloomed, 10 bright moons hung in the sky, 9 crimson suns burned throughout the unbounded sea. The primeval azure dragon moved through the clouds and brought down the rain. The swan and I howled into the sky. The Cheelant danced about, and it carried a tyrant halberd that crushed through the boundless void as it suddenly pierced over. Ing Jiufeng's expression was especially ugly. He sensed 4 extraordinary auras. The people who came were not inferior to him at all. Thousand Feather Saint, who was in the sky above ancient Sword City, was shocked as he muttered to himself. It can't be, right? What's going on? Even these lords have been mobilized. Rumble. The path of divine light descended upon the limitless ocean, and the space shook as it headed straight for Lin Chun. 4 figures slowly walked down from the path of divine light in the sky above the limitless ocean. Their auras were calm and unfathomable, but their auras were overwhelming. Bang, bang, bang. Many of the criminals in the vicinity of the Divine Brilliance Avenue were even injured and sent flying by the terrifying aura. A silver-armored man with sharp eyebrows and tiger-like eyes carried a halberd on his back. The tip of the halberd pointed diagonally to the sky, and he stepped on a primordial azure dragon. He sneered in disdain. What rubbish! How dare you be in the same space as me? A handsome young man wearing a sunflower robe beside him chuckled. Ing Jiufeng is really enjoying this kind of game. Another white-robed young man walked over. His face was pale, and he had 4 ears on his face. His eyes were blue, as if a bright moon was hidden within them. They were incomparably mysterious. He looked around and chuckled. That's why I said he's not up to par. He'll never be able to reach our level. This is the difference. The handsome young man who was standing on the flowing fire of the Scarlet Sun and had 9 Scarlet Suns around his body sneered. A guy who only knows how to rely on his bloodline and talent is not qualified to stand at the peak. The 4 of them walked side by side. When they walked down from the path of divine light, it could be said that they suppressed everyone and looked down on everyone. The Sage Kings who were watching the battle outside the limitless ocean were all shocked. Sage, 7th on the Sage Talent ranking, Evil Lord Sunflower Jin Wuxia. And 6th on the Sage Talent ranking, Evil Moon Heavy Ears. His fire is burning red, the 9th level of the Yang Wheel. Could that be the 9 Sun Saint King, Jin Tai, ranked 5th on the Saint Talent ranking? And that man with the majestic aura of a conqueror, could he be Conqueror Yang Qianfan? He's ranked 4th on the Saint Talent ranking. Hearing the Saint King's shock, the expressions of countless experts changed. He was actually a big shot in the top 10 of the Saint Talent ranking. Experts of this level were elusive, not to mention them. Even Saint King Realm Masters rarely had the opportunity to meet him, especially that tyrant, Yang Qianfan. That was second only to the top 3 on the Saint Talent ranking. To put it bluntly, if the top 3 monsters on the Saint Talent list did not appear, Yang Qianfan would be the most outstanding existence in his generation. All the experts were in an uproar. What's going on today? What the F***CK is this? Is the sky overturning? Even the 4th on the Saint Talent ranking is here. How can he be so fierce? I did. The experts hiding in the sword domain were both excited and mad. Half of the top 10 on the Saint Talent ranking were here. What kind of F***King Grand scene was this? Ing Jiufeng's expression was gloomy as he said coldly, "You guys don't want to come out, right? Do you want to stop me from doing what I want to do? Do you want to pick on me, Ing Jiufeng? I'm not that easy to bully." Ha ha ha. Yang Qianfan, who was the leader, looked as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. The corners of his mouth were full of mockery and disdain as he sneered. Who do you think you are? Are you worthy of being picked on by us? Ing Jiufeng's face turned red as if he had swallowed something. Yao Yuchong Air sneered and said, "We're not here for you today. Ing Jiufeng, stand aside." Ing Jiufeng was so angry that he gritted his teeth. If anyone else dared to speak to him like that, he would not hesitate to beat them up. But Yao Yuchong Air was ranked 6th on the Saint Talent ranking. The top 10 rankings were all obtained through real battles. If they fought, he would only lose. Then, Yang Qianfan turned around, and his gaze was as sharp as a knife. His gaze even cut a crack in the space. He was looking at Lin Chun. Yang Qianfan's calm demeanor was brewing a crazy killing intent, and his voice was as cold as a knife. "You're Lin Chun?" This scene stunned the experts from all sides of the Sword Realm. Lin Chun? These 4 unparalleled Saint talents on the Saint talent ranking were here for Lin Chun. Did this brat poke the heavens? Or did he do something crazy to attract the attention of these 4? It's not enough that he recruited the Founding Century Alliance. He even provoked the top 10 legends on the Saint talent ranking. He's F***king crazy. There's really no one else who can cause trouble to this extent. Retreat another 100,000 miles. Damn it, a battle between the top 10 saints on the Saint talent ranking. If any of their attacks were to sweep over, we would lose a layer of skin. All the experts retreated and cursed. This battle had completely exceeded their expectations. You still want to pick up scraps? It's good enough that you're still alive. Lin Chuan put on his sunglasses, adjusted his collar, and said with a teasing smile, "It seems that the news of me being the most handsome man in the sacred boundary has spread like wildfire. That's right, I'm Lin Chun, the most handsome man in the Black Horse Club, the best fighter, the fastest delivery, the most handsome man in the Black Horse Club, the most handsome man in the world, the most powerful man in the world, and the #1 arsonist." Sunflower Evil Lord smiled softly, revealing his killing intent. "You're still in the mood to joke? Let's see if your mouth is still so hard later." Lin Chun, "Sorry, I'm hard all over." Boom! The void of the limitless ocean suddenly trembled. Above Yang Qianfan's head, there was a violent, murderous aura. True Ho, Heavenly Dragon, Kuan Peng, and so on. Endless illusory beasts crazily disappeared and roared angrily. Yang Qianfan suddenly grasped the Saint halberd on his back. The entire sky instantly dimmed, as if a world-ending disaster was about to befall the world. Yang Qianfan shouted coldly, "Kid, you dare to touch my providence? Today, I'll bet my name on the Saint talent list. If you don't die, I'll give my title of tyrant to you, wild dog." Lin Chun sneered. "What tyrant of dog shit? More like a chicken tyrant. What's the point of bragging? Take my spear." Lin Chun pulled the demon-slaying spear, and the spear shot out like a dragon. Dark lightning flashed in the void and gathered on the spear. Yang Qianfan held the halberd with both hands, and his aura was about to tear the sky apart. He suddenly slashed out a magnificent rainbow of flowing blades. Sky splitting. Half of the sky of the limitless ocean was instantly split open. All the sacred kings in the Genesis era were shocked. The number of saint kings who could withstand this move could be counted on one's fingers. Yang Qianfan was serious. He used a killer move right off the bat. He wasn't arrogant enough to think that someone who could release the sword and saber dual domain was weak. Chi! Bang! Bang! The lightning was extinguished, and countless spear shadows were sent flying. Lin Chun swung his spear rapidly, smashing, tearing, and piercing through his opponent's attacks. Yang Qianfan squinted his eyes. Lin Chun could take his killer move without suffering any damage? This wasn't right. Even Ying Jiufeng sensed that something was wrong. When they sensed Lin Chun's move, Evil Sunflower Lord Jin Wuxia and Evil Moonchong Air moved almost at the same time, flashing out from the left and right. Clang! Clang! Bang! In the void, Jin Wuxia and Chong Air were blocked. Instantly, it attracted the attention of countless powerful cultivators. It was already ridiculous that Lin Chun could block one of Yang Qianfan's moves. How could he block 2 other powerful cultivators in the top 10 of the Saint talent list? The lightning dissipated, and 7 silver-robed figures appeared out of nowhere. They stood proudly by Lin Chun's side like stars surrounding the moon. Their appearance and charm were exactly the same. Phantom doppelganger. At this moment, all the powerful cultivators stood up, dumbfounded. Lin Chun laughed maniacally. "There are 7 more people like me. Top 10 on the Saint talent list, right? Today, I'll smash one of them. If 10 come, I'll smash all of them to death." Chapter 1762. The Saint Kings in the Sword Domain were all dumbfounded. They could not believe their eyes. 7. 7? There are actually 7 Lin Chuns. Rumor has it that this kid has the ability to create clones that look real. But they look exactly the same as the real body. It can't be wrong. The two clones blocked Jin Wuxia and Chong Er's attacks. This is not the standard of a normal cloning technique. The Saint King's mouths twitched as their eyelids twitched. Lin Chen's cloning technique had once again overturned their knowledge. One had to know that the higher one's cultivation, the harder it was for them to create clones. If they created clones that were trash, they would only be a burden and waste their energy. Therefore, when one reached a certain cultivation level, they would not have any cloning techniques. This was because there were very few cloning techniques that would be useful in a real battle. This move of Lin Chen's, the Phantom Doppelganger, gave the crowd a shock that was no longer a shock, but a fright. Host has used 21 million Saint-level runes to activate the Phantom Talisman 7 times. All clones have been synchronized with the host cultivation. The moment the system screen appeared, Lin Chen's heart was bleeding. He had used up almost half of his Saint-level runes to synchronize with the cultivation of his clones. If he could not get it back from these people, it would be a huge loss. Demon Moon Chong Er did not give up. His claws were like that of an eagle's as he attacked with lightning speed. His claws pierced through the void. His claws were brutal and ruthless as they were all aimed at the heart of Lin Chen's clones. Every move was fatal. The clone reacted as quickly as the main body. He immediately channeled his Wind Saint power and punched forward. He used his golden jade robe to fight against Chong Er's claws. Bang, bang, bang. When the two clashed, Chong Er retreated 7 steps while the clone retreated 8 steps. Seeing this, even someone as strong as Yang Qianfan could not believe his eyes. There's such a thing? Lin Chen's clone was as strong as the main body. Rumble. At this moment, a green light bloomed in the sky. A youth in linen robes walked out of the light. His eyes were closed, and his aura was transcendent. The experts within the sword domain were shocked once again. Another great figure in the top 10 of the Saint Talent ranking had come. 9th on the Saint Talent list, Tanghua 10,000 Buddha Li Ziki came uninvited. Ziqi deeply admires His Excellency Lin Chen's righteousness. Today, I took the liberty of fighting together with His Excellency Lin Chen. Please forgive me. Whoosh! Li Ziki was standing in front of Ying Jiofeng, who was ranked 10th on the Saint Talent list. Lin Chen was surprised. Oh, there was actually an ally? If you want to fight, then fight. No matter how many people come at me, I'll still fight. Do as you please. Ying Jiofeng looked gloomy. You're just a blockhead who doesn't care about worldly affairs. Are you going to stop me too? Li Ziki was unperturbed as he said indifferently. Genesis actions are despicable, massacring mortals and purging the masses. What's the difference between this and evil? The human race should be flourishing, and everyone should have Tao to pursue and reason to seek. Genesis shouldn't be the only dominant force. Arrogant man, don't think that you're so arrogant just because you're one rank higher than me. You've only seen a few eras and read a few books, and you dare to talk about Tao and truth. You're the joke of the world. Ying Jiofeng was so angry that he laughed and slammed his palm toward Li Ziki. Li Ziki shook his head and sighed. He retracted his fist and got into a battle stance. One was ranked 10th on the Saint Talent list, while the other was ranked 9th. The gap between the two wasn't very big. The pressure from the battle continued to overflow. Just as the space was about to collapse, boom. As the two fought, Lin Chen's aura rose. He stepped on clouds and flashed in the sky. Clang! Lin Chen's demon-slaying spear smashed onto Yang Qianfan's head. He waved his overlord halberd and blocked it. Yang Qianfan was so angry that he laughed. You want to win with numbers? You're looking down on me, the 4th Saint Talent. Lin Chen laughed mockingly. You're looking down on me? You're a chicken tyrant. Arrogant. Yang Qianfan raised his overlord halberd and held it tightly with both hands. Lin Chen spun the demon-slaying spear left and right. The tip of the overlord halberd and the tip of the overlord halberd clashed violently. Lin Chen fought Yang Qianfan head-on. Clang, 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 boom. The two of them moved like two streaks of divine light. They fought fiercely. Lin Chen's first impression was that the battle was very heavy. Every strike of his overlord halberd was especially heavy. This guy was ranked 4th on the Saint Talent list. He really did fight his way up there with pure strength. Yang Qianfan was even more shocked. Lin Chen's spear techniques were swift and fierce. Every strike was split into 5, and they quickly attacked his blind spots. He was so experienced in battle that it was as if he had already fought countless experts. They seemed to be evenly matched, but in fact, Yang Qianfan already felt that he was inferior in terms of mental strength. If he couldn't suppress Lin Chen, it would mean that he, Yang Qianfan, had lost by half. Almost as soon as Lin Chen and Yang Qianfan were engaged in battle, all the clones moved together. Each of Lin Chen's clones could unleash a destructive force comparable to 6 million Supreme's power. In addition to his many talents, he had the ability to fight head-on with the top 10 on the Saint Talent list. In a single exchange, Lin Chen's 3 clones blocked Chong, Jin Tai, and Jin Wuxi on the spot. 9 Sun Saint King Jin Tai was ranked 5th. Facing the top 5 saints, Lin Chen's clones immediately showed signs of difficulty. However, the clones were not afraid of death. Under the premise of risking their lives, they still managed to stop Jin Tai. Instant light split shadows, dark thunder, overlord halberd, shocking feather. A spear and a halberd pierced forward. Lightning flashed in the sky, and feathers filled the sky. The terrifying battle prowess that Lin Chen displayed once again caused the Saint Kings to raise their eyebrows. Perhaps he was still slightly weaker than Yang Qianfan, but Lin Chen still had 4 clones ready to attack Yang Qianfan. Under the siege of multiple clones and the main body, Yang Qianfan would be suppressed no matter how strong he was. However, the situation of the battle seemed to have changed in an instant. Bang! 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 Outside the boundless sea, the ground suddenly cracked, the space shook, and the sea was raging. Countless waves raged and raged, and the waves were turbulent. Demonic chi materialized like a demonic dragon and suddenly shot out from the bottom of the boundless sea. The experts from both sides were shocked. This was demonic chi. At this time, the divination masters from both sides transmitted their voices at almost the same time. Ing Jiufeng, there are many demons hiding. My lord, there are demons attacking us. They are all heavenly demon venerables. We should stop the battle and retreat. While Jiang Taishu was transmitting his voice, Lin Chen shouted coldly, "It doesn't matter. Take advantage of the moment when they are distracted and beat them up. Beat these sons of cheese to death." Jiang Taishu hurriedly said, "But if there is no support, our people will be severely injured." Lin Chen thought deeply and transmitted his voice to all the servants. If there is support, there will definitely be. At this moment, Lin Chen's gaze was especially deep, unfathomable, mysterious, and vast. Gagaga. Humans, are you surprised? Are you surprised? So many holy kings. We will be able to eat our fill in a while. Human Lin Chen, hand over your dog life. Raging waves swept the sky, and the sea waves raged in all directions. When the demonic chi exploded, groups of figures with monstrous demonic chi appeared out of thin air and stepped on the sea. The experts in the sword domain sucked in a breath of cold air. They were actually all heavenly demon venerables. Furthermore, the 4 great fiend clans were all present. The most perverse thing was that these demons were actually all freaking targeting Lin Chen. What kind of deranged thing did this guy do? The 4 great fiend clans, heavenly demon venerables, actually came bunch. Lin Chen, who is currently in a fierce battle with Yang Qianfan, smiled knowingly. Come, continue. Don't stop. I will be as bold as the enemy. Chapter 1763. The Heavenly Sun Saint King and Thousand Feather Saint King, who were floating in the air, quickly released their saint power to sense the chaotic, unbounded sea. 5, 8, 15, 25, F***CK. Is. 25 heavenly demon venerables. What the hell was this? Was this a bomb? What's going on? The two Saint Kings were shocked again. In this short day, their knowledge had been overturned too many times. What was the demon race doing? What was going on? What was the concept of 25 heavenly demon venerables? It was equivalent to 25 Saint Kings. I remember now. Some time ago, the demon race besieged the city and broke into the battle zone. So, it's them. That's right, there were signs of the demon race entering and exiting the various regions. During that time, there were many rank 9 sect who planned to join forces to exterminate the demon race. But they actually gathered here today? What are they doing? Many experts in the sword domain looked at each other in shock. If it was just one heavenly demon venerable that infiltrated the sacred boundary, they would not be so shocked. But there were 25 heavenly demon venerables. Such a terrifying lineup was enough to wipe out many rank 9 sects. Suddenly, a Saint King felt a lump in his throat, his teeth chattering as he pointed at an enchanting blood-red figure, and said in shock, "No, look. Is that the descendant of the Red Heaven Demon Emperor, the Red Moon Demon Concubine, and that demonic being beside her? This aura, I can't be wrong. Even if I turn into ashes, I won't be wrong. It's the son of the sky-burying Demon Emperor, Zhu Jiusheng." Only then did the Saint Kings realize that the 4 strongest demons who were heavily protected by the 25 heavenly demon venerables had noble and domineering auras, as if they were emperors. They were the overlords of the demons, the kings of the demon race. Moreover, these are the strongest of the 4 demon races. It could be said that Zhu Jiusheng and the Red Moon Demon Concubine were the strongest of the younger generation of the 2 demon races. It's the demon race. Something's not right. They seem to have a goal in mind. According to what I know, the 4 demon races should each have their own master. Jin Wuxia, Jin Tai, Ying Jiufeng, and the others in the Saint Talent ranking instantly became serious. The newcomers were no small matter. He was an existence that could stand out among a group of heavenly devil supremacies, and he was also a descendant of the Devil Emperor with a heavenly devil supremacy cultivation. At the very least, these 4 demons were on the same level as the top 10 on the Saint Talent ranking. It was terrifying. This kind of lineup was rarely seen in 10,000 years. Ordinary Saint Kings had never even heard of such a lineup in their lives. This was unheard of. The Red Moon Sorceress, whose hair reached her waist, laughed sinisterly and said, "Demons, listen to my command. No battle is allowed to disturb this princess's meal. I want to suck this brat dry." Zhu Jiusheng, the son of sky-burying Devil Emperor, said indifferently, "It's not up to you to snatch my prey." Whoosh! A demonic figure flew out, and the sky was filled with crow shadows. There was a loud laugh that came from the sky. "Zhu Jiusheng, it belongs to whoever can snatch it. I won't argue with you." A 4-armed crown prince of the demon race exuded a monstrous demon chi that blotted out the sky as he laughed evilly. "I really wonder what this Lin Chen's flesh tastes like. Today I must savor it." In the time it takes for a spark to fly off a flint, the 4 crown princes and princesses aggressively rushed towards Lin Chen. Lin Chen's 4 doppelgangers suddenly shook. Their saint power shook the heavens and the earth, crushing everything in their path. The doppelgangers were no longer the same as before. They activated instant light doppelganger and used many ultimate techniques. They exploded one after another and suddenly attacked the crown princes. Something's not right. This brat still has doppelgangers? Things are getting more and more interesting. The more the prey struggles, the greater the sense of accomplishment when I get it, and the more delicious it will be to suck it. The crown princes suddenly revealed their true forms as the 4 demon races' unique physiques appeared out of nowhere and faced Lin Chen's 4 doppelgangers head-on. At this moment, Lin Chen's heart-stirring laughter shook the sky. So what if you're the crown princes and princesses of the demon race? Today, if 1 comes, I will kill 1. If 10 come, I will kill 10. Boom! Bang! 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 Lin Shun and his doppelgangers used cloud, shadow, heavenly light, and their body techniques danced wildly. They were actually fighting head-on in a fierce battle. Many experts in the sword domain were dumbfounded, and their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Those Saint Kings who could vaguely see the details of the battle all looked as if they had seen a ghost. Just what kind of crazy thing did this Lin Shun do to provoke such a lineup? In front of them were the 4 peerless Saint geniuses in the top 10 of the Saint talent list, and behind them were the strongest direct descendants of the crown princes of the demon race. This was not just a deity descending to the mortal world to fight 1 against 4, but 1 against 8. It could be said that at this moment, the sword domain had gathered the top young saint geniuses of the human race and the strongest young demons of the demon race. If the 2 sides of the human race and demon race were fighting, it would make sense. However, a fierce man descended from the heavens. This Lin Shun was F** King fighting both sides. Amazing. 1 against 4 was already ridiculous enough, but 1 against 8? It could even be said that none of the Saint Kings present could withstand the siege of 4 peerless Saint geniuses and the strongest descendants of the crown princes of the demon race. Only Lin Shun could do it. They were even fighting to a standstill. Jin Tai, Yang Qianfan, and the rest did not stop the demon race. Instead, they focused on dealing with Lin Shun. Now, all the experts only had one target, Lin Shun. In order to achieve their goal, they did not hesitate to ignore the demon race's rampage. Lin Shun fought fiercely all the way, and the tip of his spear was swift and fierce. He clashed with Yang Qianfan's halberd again and again, and the battle became more and more intense. Lin Shun laughed heartily, and the sound waves rolled and split the sky and earth, carrying with them a strong primordial spirit power. Ha, great! I don't care if you are a human race or a demon race. If you dare to stand in front of me, I will kill you. I have always convinced people with my virtue, and those who are not convinced, I will beat them until they are convinced. True fierce men are all fair. Only children make choices. I will kill all of you. Lin Shen's wild laughter made the scalps of countless experts tingle, and they had goosebumps all over their bodies as they exclaimed, "Why is he so fierce? In front of Lin Shun, all life is equal. How can there be such a fierce man in the mortal world?" The future supreme experts of both the human and demon races have all been defeated by him. Amidst the exclamations, another powerful primordial spirit power broke through the limit. Lin Shen's primordial spirit power had broken through in the middle of the battle. Middle stage essence spirit realm. His spirit attribute had long accumulated to the critical point of a breakthrough. Now that his fighting spirit had burst forth, success was naturally achieved. The descendants of the Fiend Emperors became more and more serious as they fought, and they no longer had the mentality of playing around previously. They discovered that these Lin Chen clones in front of them were very strong. Rather than saying that they were strong, it was better to say that they had the same strength as the main body. There was almost no change. This was equivalent to having 7 more Lin Chen fighting. They immediately realized the severity of the situation. With just the 4 of them, they really might not be able to take down Lin Chen personally. The human race's Lin Chen was indeed worthy of being a person that the Fiend Emperors personally wanted. The expressions of the 4 great Fiend Emperor descendants finally showed some seriousness. The 25 heavenly Fiend Venerables exchanged glances, and with a tacit understanding, actually began to rush toward Lin Chen. When Jiang Taishu saw this scene from the side, his old face instantly turned pale. The heavenly Fiend Venerables that were comparable to 25 holy kings began to move. The chaotic battle was becoming more and more intense. Chapter 1764. At this moment, Lin Shen's battle circle had become the most terrifying one that surpassed the 17 servants' battle circle. In the entire unbounded sea, apart from Lin Shun and his team of 17, all the experts were chased out of the unbounded sea to fight. Seeing that the situation was not right, Jiang Taishu anxiously transmitted his voice. "My lord, if we don't retreat now, it will be too late. If this battle continues, our people won't be able to hold on." Lin Shun transmitted his voice back. "Stop talking nonsense and focus on what you need to do. As for the rest, even if the sky falls, I'll hold it up." Jiang Taishu's heart trembled. He couldn't afford to be distracted and focused on fighting the Heartbreak Red. The current situation and battle formation was simply unprecedented. 5 of the top 10 on the Saint Talent list were enemies with Lin Shun. The Genesis Alliance, the Holy Prison, and even the 4 Demon Venerables had come. The demon race's battle formation was too terrifying. Whether it was targeting Lin Shun or Lin Chen servants, both sides would be destroyed. Clang! After pushing Yang Qianfan back, Lin Shun threw out a delaying rune with one hand to delay time. In an instant, he used his movement technique and flew toward the 25 Demon Venerables. The 9-colored starlight spun like an astrolabe. Lin Shun swung his hand, and the 9 Tribulations star flew out. The 9 Tribulations star split into 5 streaks of 9-colored light that crossed the sky. What? Something's wrong. The 25 Demon Venerables were terrified. They sensed the danger before death from the 5 streaks of starlight. Demon Sacrifice Art. Underworld Demon Body. Bloodthirsty Dragon Swallowing Technique. One after another, gigantic demonic bodies that blotted out the sky appeared out of thin air. Terrifying demonic techniques swept out like a raging tide as they all performed their strongest techniques. Hum! Chi! Chi! Space collapsed, and the void disintegrated. When the 5 9-colored light pillars rose, a huge whirlpool formed on the surface of the sea. The 9-colored light pillars spun slowly and emitted a destructive aura. It was magnificent and majestic. The surrounding atmosphere continued to crack apart, and the void of space was actually shattered into a chaotic mess. A group of gigantic Devil Clan figures were sent flying backward. All of the heavenly Devil Venerables' devil bodies ruptured, and devil blood spurted out. The demon body even burst forth with explosive sounds. All of them were seriously injured. Hiss! The mouths of the Saint Kings and the Sword Domain trembled. He was actually repelled. What kind of monster was this Lin Shun? With just one move, he actually repelled 25 heavenly fiend supremacies. At this moment, the descendants of the 4 demon emperors and the 6 people in the top 10 of the Saint Talent list were all shocked. As strong as Yang Qianfan was, he was confident that he could use his trump card to repel the demons. However, even Yang Qianfan would not be able to defeat and severely injure 25 heavenly demon venerables with one move without the help of some external force. When experts joined forces, the effect was far greater than 1 + 1. Especially when the 25 heavenly fiend supremacies worked together, the effect was even more terrifying. Furthermore, among these 25 heavenly devil venerables, 8 of them were comparable to the 2 patriarchs of the martial god clan. Such a strong lineup was still defeated by Lin Shun in one move. The 2 patriarchs of the Divine Flame Palace, Luo Yin and Yu Fei, shook their heads and exclaimed, "What a terrifying little guy. I'm afraid that even if we used the Divine Flame Palace's Divine Flame King, we still wouldn't be able to withstand that move. Byron, we should go and meet her when we have time. This disciple's eyesight is really sharp to be able to find such a man. I heard that this Lin Shun was born in the mortal realm. It's really a miracle from the heavens." As for the 2 patriarchs of the martial god clan, lingering fear flashed through their eyes. Too monstrous. It had only been a few months, but this kid could actually use such a terrifying killing move. The most abnormal thing was that he actually had the battle strength of the life and death realm. What if he was given a few more years? Not to mention reaching the star realm, he would probably be invincible in the sacred boundary with his life and death realm cultivation base. The number 1 person below the quasi-god realm. The current Lin Shun was second only to the top 3 geniuses of the Saint Talent list. Thinking of this, the martial god clan's patriarchs attacked even more fiercely. Now that things had come to this, there was no way out. At this moment, the sons of the 4 demon emperors had come for him, and the experts of the Genesis and Sacred Purgatory had gathered. Now was their last chance to get rid of this kid. They didn't think that Lin Shun would let the martial god clan off if they let him escape. This was simply impossible. So painful. This damned human. What kind of move is this? My demon vein is broken. It can't be healed. What kind of move is this? The heavenly demon venerables wailed in anguish. Lin Shun was panting, but the battle intent in his eyes was incomparably high. This 9 tribulation star is even more ferocious than in the dragon world. When he activated the God Slayer in the dragon world, his cultivation base was the same as now. Lin Shin's 9 tribulations star had even injured the divine dragon clone. Although he had the advantage of a sneak attack at that time, the power was still terrifying. Now, it was only natural that he could defeat 25 heavenly demon venerables with one move. A thunderous roar suddenly shook the sky and spread throughout the boundless realm. Who dares to touch him? Damn it, is the distinguished guest of my dragon race something you lowly demons can touch? The demon race has really been restless in recent years. Just nice. Today, I'll let you know who is the one that can't be provoked. A mere 25 heavenly demon venerables also want to kill the benefactor of my dragon race. Go and call all the heavenly demon venerables of your 4 great demon races over. Rolling dragon roars shook the sky and earth. The sky was actually illuminated by dragon light for thousands of miles. One after another, huge dragons descended from beyond the sword domain. The Saint Kings in the sword domain broke out in cold sweat. What kind of freaking formation was this? The Dragon Kings led the team, and there were groups of dragon venerables. There was even a group of divine dragon descendants following. Such a huge, desolate Era-Dragon race team actually came to the human race's sacred boundary. Lin Chin whistled. A little late. If you guys still didn't appear, I would have finished fighting by myself. The few Dragon Kings in the lead flew over swiftly while smiling and cupping their fists in surprise. Lin Chin had long guessed that we would come. You really have great foresight. Lin Chin shrugged with a faint smile. You guessed half of it. If you guys didn't come, I would just have to do a little more work and settle it. This casual sentence moved many Dragon Kings. This young man had declared his sovereignty with a simple sentence. If a dragon race didn't come to help, he could still settle it. This proved that they weren't sending charcoal in snowy weather, nor did they threaten Lin Shun with reinforcements. These words made the Dragon Kings who had other thoughts immediately put away their thoughts. Yes, if it was someone else who said this, they would definitely not believe it. But the injuries of the 25 heavenly demon venerables were right in front of them. It was an ironclad fact. The extreme hell Water Dragon King in the lead came in front of Lin Shun. She was wearing a long blue dress and looked cold and beautiful, but she bowed slightly to Lin Shun and smiled sweetly. The stubborn old man of my race objected and delayed a lot of time. I hope I'm not too late. Lin Shun snapped his fingers and smiled confidently. Let's not talk about anything else. Just settle these demons. Don't let them interfere with my 1 versus 8 battle. And don't let these bastards from the Alliance hurt my people. If you can do it, I'll give a dragon race a chance. A chance. Lin Shin's words stirred up the fighting spirit of all the Dragon Kings and Dragon Venerables. The Dragon Kings looked up, and the demons were shocked. Ing Jiufeng, who was blocked, was shocked. Just what kind of skill did Lin Shun have to be able to make these dragons work for him with such a casual sentence? A feeling of complete defeat rose in Ing Jiufeng's heart. Chapter 1765. Somewhere in the sword domain, voice transmissions carried saber intent. Should we make a move? No, it's not time yet. I don't know if those 2 women are still around. Besides, he's not here yet. Let's wait. Once the time is right, will immediately go up and kill Lin Chun. Hundreds of giant dragons swept over. Outside the boundless sea, dragon might was vast and mighty, and holy light soared into the sky. 100 dragons covered the sky. The Dragon King was born. Dragon might shook the universe. The ancient dragon roared in the universe. This scene was like returning to the dragon miracle of the desolate Era Dragon clan. The Dragon King led the team, and even the great Dragon King of the Hellwater Dragon clan was the representative. Their powers soared to the sky. Dozens of Dragon Kings and Dragon Venerables fighting spirit soared to the sky, and they heavily surrounded the 25 injured heavenly demon venerables. Dragon Clan? Why did these troublesome fellows come out of seclusion? Damn it, I can't care so much. Call them out. The 25 heavenly demon venerables had nowhere to retreat. They released monstrous demonic aura, forming layers of demon gates. Creak. Once the demon gates opened, a large number of Demon Clan troops came out of nowhere. All of them were the elites of the Demon Clan. This time, the 4 major Demon Clan's actions were watertight. They originally had the intention of going to war to encircle and annihilate Lin Chun. They brought along a group of powerful demon venerables, hundreds of them. Everyone, let them see the foundation of our Dragon Clan. There will be rewards for killing the enemy. This king said it. Today, even if the Demon Clan's ancestors come, we have to F***CK them to death. The Dragon Kings were even more excited than the descendants of the Divine Dragon. They transformed into huge dragon bodies and rampaged, crushing the position of the heavenly demon venerables. With the addition of the Dragon Clan, Lin Chen's team, which was originally at a disadvantage, immediately turned the tables. Jiang Taishu's heart was full of shock. Could it be that the Lord had already predicted that they would come? Speaking of which, the Lord can raise Long Jiushan's bloodline by several grades, like a cultivation technique. Such a method and the grade of the Dragon Clan's bloodline. Jiang Taishu thought of some extremely terrifying possibilities and could not help but feel excited. Jiang Taishu once again felt how lucky he was to be able to follow a lord like Lin Chun. The thought in his mind in a flash. The next moment, Jiang Taishu turned his attention back to the 17 people's battle. Right now, the 17 people on both sides were at a slight disadvantage. The others were not a problem, but the most troublesome ones were Fong Ling and Lang Fanyan's opponents, Long Jiushan's opponent Qing Wangu, Qi Fian's opponent Tang Fenlei, and Shangwan Wudi's opponent Ri Wuxia. These 5 people were the most difficult to deal with. Even with Lin Chen's overall strengthening for a short period of time, he still couldn't surpass him. In fact, there was still a gap. However, even though there was a gap, the 5 of them were not completely at a disadvantage because this was a team battle. The 17 people from the Holy Prison all had their own agendas. They had only joined forces temporarily because of the battle. On Jiang Taishu's side, not only did they have a tacit understanding of each other, but they also cooperated with each other through Lin Chen's heavenly cycle seal of life and death. They even had the courage to risk their lives for this battle. With such tacit understanding, they weren't on the same level in the first place. In a situation where they were covering each other, even the highest combat strength of the other party wouldn't be able to take them down. On the opposite side, Heartbreak Red sneered. Your train of thought was interrupted for a moment. This isn't your style. It seems like you have other thoughts. Have you finally realized that you're no match for us? Jiang Taishu said indifferently. Don't think about hurting your brain. I just feel that it's time to let you see the trump card that the Lord left for us. As soon as he finished speaking, the battle situation suddenly changed. Colorful flowing lights swept across the sky of the unbounded sea, and the battle situation suddenly changed. Heartbreak Red's pupil shrank. As soon as the Dragon Race's reinforcements arrived, Lin Chun found 2 blazing gazes staring at him. He suddenly turned around and saw that it was Luo Shueiyue and Princess Xingyue. Luo Shueiyue was fine, but Princess Xingyue seemed to be angry. Her eyebrows were slightly raised as she stared at Lin Chun. Lin Chun whistled and sent a voice transmission. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen such a handsome guy who can fight? Don't you hate me? Why are you here to support me? Are you lusting after my body?" These words made it seem like the Black Horse Club had picked up a treasure. "You!" Princess Xingyue was immediately angry. "Shameless." After saying that, Princess Xingyue angrily charged towards the demons. Luo Shueihua smiled and immediately gave Lin Chen a look that said, "Be careful." Lin Chen raised his eyebrows at her, gave her a thumbs up, and grinned. "Is the flirting over?" When a cold voice sounded, Yang Qianfan floated in the air. He was surrounded by the Azure Dragon Holy Qi and stepped on the true Ho. He looked like an ancient overlord, and his cold gaze swept across Lin Chen. Lin Chen carried the demon-slaying spear and smiled casually. "No way. How is this flirting? At most, it's just a few words. You can't even wait. Are you in such a hurry to be defeated by me?" Yang Qianfan said coldly, "The one standing in front of you now is the fourth on the Saint Talent list, Lin Chen. Don't be too arrogant. That move just now involved your holy Qi origin. You can't use it a second time in a short time." Lin Chen waved the spear and held it with one hand. He smiled faintly. "Your eyesight is not bad, but who knows, I might have an even stronger killing move." Yang Qianfan's expression instantly turned serious. On the other side, the holy kings in the sword domain looked at the scene that was like purgatory on earth. The giant dragons danced in the sky, and the demons fought and killed. It was as if they had returned to the war of the ancient races. This Lin Chen, what ability does he have to invite the dragon kings of the dragon race? He didn't hesitate to bring the descendants of the divine dragons to participate in the battle. What a big deal. Just for Lin Chen, how many powerhouses will be alarmed? As the holy kings in the sword domain exclaimed, they could see the upcoming battle more clearly. Even if the demons came to help, the current situation was 50-50. That's right. No matter what, the Genesis was destined to not be able to take down Lin Chen today. As long as the dragon race resolutely became his shield, sooner or later, he would grow into an even more terrifying existence. At that time, even the top 3 on the Saint Talent list might not be his match, unless there was an even more powerful and decisive force entering. However, the current situation was basically impossible. The outcome was set. Now was the time to pick a side. The Genesis Alliance has harmed all living beings. Everyone deserves to be punished. As the saying goes, if I don't enter hell, who will? Today, I will enforce justice on behalf of the heavens and return this secular world to its former glory. What's the point of bullying the weak? I will meet you all. His Excellency Lin Chen has the world in his heart and acts righteously. I am willing to follow him to the ends of the earth. I will lead the charge. Chen is here. Everyone is here. Let's do it, brothers. Voices echoed in the sword domain one after another. A large group of powerhouses flew through the air and rushed from the sword domain to the limitless sea. This group of powerhouses were all saints of the 5th transformation and above. Even the 1,000 Regions, 1,000 Feather Saint King was among them. They joined the battle righteously and assisted Lin Chen's team. Everything was so smooth and natural. The moment they opened their mouths and attacked, it was obvious that they were old fence-sitters. Since it was a 50-50 situation, they naturally had to stand on the side with the most potential. Only then would they have a chance to eat meat in the future. If Lin Chen's team was in a disadvantageous situation, this group of people would most likely target Lin Chen. 1,000 Feather Saint King shouted righteously as he repelled many holy prison criminals with one palm strike. Everyone, don't worry. We have already, suddenly, a divine light shone diagonally. Splat! Rip! There was a tearing sound. 1,000 Feather Saint King's expression was filled with disbelief before he died. He looked at his body that had been torn in half. Even his consciousness was disappearing and disappearing. At this moment, the wind and clouds changed, and a rain of blood poured down. This was the sign of a Saint King's death. An 8-foot-tall man in white walked out from behind the torn 1,000 Feather Saint King. He pulled the torn thousand-feather Saint King with both hands and casually threw him away like trash. When he raised his eyebrows and looked at Lin Shun, his murderous aura was monstrous, and his divine aura was unparalleled. All the Saint Talents of the Founding Century Alliance were shocked, and they cried out in horror. Wu Pianju, an unprecedented murderous aura, was aimed at Lin Shun. Lin Shun narrowed his eyes. When he turned around, he unconsciously tightened his grip on the demon-slaying spear. He sensed a sense of oppression that was no small matter. When he saw clearly who it was, Lin Shun could not help but be stunned. Wu Pianju, he can F*** King come back to life? I blasted him into a pulp last time, and this guy didn't die. F***CK. What kind of skill is this? System, why don't you give me one too? That's not right. Heavenly Path Possessor System. No such function. Lin Shun, can I change to another system? Heavenly Path Possessor System. Chapter 1766. Wu Pianju. How is that possible? Almost everyone's subconscious reaction was that they had seen a ghost. However, Wu Pianju's unique aura of a martial god had clearly shocked everyone. Even the two battle gods' patriarchs were stunned. What was going on? Young Master Wu Pianju was resurrected? After Wu Pianju obtained the god's blood, he sealed off the news in advance. Only a few core members of the Wu family and those who worked with him knew about his current situation. However, Lin Shun's eyes lit up. This guy had way too many attribute light balls on him. He had more than the top 10 on the Talent Saint ranking and the 4 Demon Emperor's sons. Lin Shun suddenly asked, Wu Pianju, what brand of corpse-faking powder did you use? Why don't you get one from my Black Horse Club? Or have you fallen in love with me and can't bear to part with me even in the afterlife? You want to come back for me? Many servants almost laughed out loud. Their master's temper was infuriating. Boom! Wu Pianju was furious. Without another word, he slashed with 2 fingers. Rip! Space cracked, and a black finger cut through the sky. Lin Shun, who had broken through to the mid-stage Essence Soul realm, had extremely fast senses with his Essence Soul. He used his movement technique the moment he finished speaking. Moreover, Lin Shun, who had broken through to the mid-stage Essence Soul realm, was far stronger than other Essence Soul cultivators of the same level. This was because his Tai Skyward technique allowed him to have the same Essence Soul power as his main body. He had also obtained the enhancement of the Supreme God's Possession. This was equivalent to having Lin Shun's mid-stage Essence Soul power increased by 4 times. Coupled with his spiritual awakening, his reaction speed was not something that ordinary sages could compare to. Whoosh! Lin Shun stepped on the clouds, his body riding the heavenly light. Layers upon layers of afterimages traversed tens of thousands of miles. After Lin Shun quickly dodged, Yang Qianfan was too late. Facing this powerful finger, Yang Qianfan waved his overlord halberd. His saint power surged as he slashed down. A heavenly splitter was unleashed. Bam! Bam! The black light exploded and the sky trembled. The light became dim and distorted, as if half of the world had been overturned. Lin Shun whistled. Very good. You hit your ally perfectly. However, in the next moment, Lin Shun was slightly surprised. Yang Qianfan quickly retreated dozens of steps. His qi and blood were in turmoil, and his face was somewhat unsightly. Even the battle between Lin Shun and him just now had not caused him to reveal such an expression. At that moment, everyone in the top 10 of the Saint Talent ranking was shocked. Even the sons of the 4 Demon Emperors were shocked and solemn. All the top experts focused their attention on Wu Pianju. He used the martial god's step, and a magnificent and majestic dazzling light flashed past. He swept into the sky and overlooked the entire battlefield. Wu Pianju's body shone with 100 saint acupoints. The brilliant hexagonal light of the saint cavern illuminated the sky, and it was even brighter than everyone's saint cavern. From now on, there will only be one martial god in the sacred boundary, and that is me, Wu Pianju. Wu Pianju hereby announces that I will be the overlord of the sacred boundary. Lin Shen's life belongs to me, Wu Pianju. Those who disobey will be killed. Those who stand in my way will have their 9 familial exterminated. Wu Pianju's voice spread out, and the crowd was shocked. A Saint King? Wu Pianju is a Saint King? What kind of medicine did he eat to fly up so high? The most frightening thing was that he had defeated Yang Qianfan with a casual move. What was Yang Qianfan's level? The 4th on the Saint Talent ranking. He was a super monster that was second only to the top 3 Saint Talents on the Saint Talent ranking. Even if Wu Pianju had reached the Saint King level, it was still uncertain whether he could enter the top 10 of the Saint Talent ranking with his foundation. Not to mention that he could be compared with Yang Qianfan in such a short time. It was as if a baby had suddenly defeated a vigorous adult. Wasn't this nonsense? Lin Shen suddenly came to a realization. I know, he also has a system. Case solved. System. As long as you are happy. The extreme hell Water Dragon King of the Dragon Clan frowned and said seriously. Is the martial godson that Lin Chun defeated before? Why does his bloodline feel more like the real martial gods than mine? The other Dragon King said telepathically, do you need us to go and support Lin Chun? The extreme hell Water Dragon King shook her head, and her beautiful eyes shone. Looking at Lin Chen's appearance, he is calm and relaxed. Obviously, he is still confident. Let's take care of our own opponents and make changes first. Killing a heavenly demon venerable is also a great contribution to the Dragon Clan. The dragons fought the demons fiercely, and their attacks did not stop. They chose to make changes first. When they felt that Wu Pianju's martial god aura was different from before, and more like the martial god Wu Juechen, the 2 patriarchs were completely shocked. The patriarch of the Wu clan cried out, Young Master Wu, you have inherited the martial god's divine blood? They had been in seclusion for many years and had not grasped the divine seal that the martial god had left for them. So they did not receive the news of the martial god's death immediately. There was only one possibility for Wu Pianju to come back from the dead, and that was that the martial god had perished. Moreover, they had used up their divine blood clones, so the divine blood could only belong to Wu Pianju, who was the closest to them. Wu Pianju looked coldly at the 2 patriarchs and said indifferently, I am the only master of the Wu clan. Do your job well and follow me. I can let bygones be bygones for what you have done in the past. Then Wu Pianju flicked her sleeves and shouted coldly, Come out! Whoosh! 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 Streaks of saber light swam rapidly, and the terrifying saber intent covered the sky and earth. The strange phenomenon of the unbounded sea changed again. Amidst the sky-spanning saber light, a group of people walked out with majestic gait. They were all Saber King-level powerhouses. There were a total of 3 Saber Kings, and the Heaven Butcher Saber King, Nangong Jichin. The man with a noble temperament and a fierce expression at the front was the top saber in the world, Nangong Xianyuan, who was ranked 8th on the Saint Talent list. The appearance of these 5 people made the battle even more chaotic. The group of experts who had sided with Lin Chun were immediately dumbfounded. What was going on? Lin Chun laughed mockingly and said, You actually want to join forces with Wu Pianju? No wonder you took so long to appear. Nangong Xianyuan laughed coldly and said, You were lucky to escape last time. Let's see if you can still be so lucky this time. Lin Chun laughed playfully and said, Is that so? I heard that handsome people usually have good luck. Wu Pianju immediately stood in front of the 5 people and said coldly, Don't talk nonsense with this guy. Remember, I want him alive this time. The 5 of you are responsible for blocking his escape route when he is defeated. Although Nangong Xianyuan was unhappy with Wu Pianju's order, he still agreed and said, Leave it to us. Go ahead. Lin Chun pretended to be shocked and said, I am so shocked. The escape route after I am defeated. Does this mean that you, Wu Pianju, are sure to defeat me? Wu Pianju flipped her hand, and a towering divine light condensed into a huge palm that covered the sky. It rolled toward Lin Shun, and her cold voice spread across the sky. Lin Shun, I have fully integrated my divine blood. No one below quasi-god is my match. Today, you will definitely die. Wu Pianju's shocking palm strike shocked all the Saint Kings. Even Yang Qianfan was astonished. There was no doubt that Wu Pianju now had the combat power of the top 3 on the Saint talent list. Lin Shun was going to lose. Chapter 1767. The god's blood contained a small portion of the martial god's cultivation. Just a small portion was enough to allow Wu Pianju to become a powerful sage king. With the formless Saber Palace's Saber Monarchs holding the line, Wu Pianju made a comeback and suppressed all directions. The outcome was set. Lin Shun was bound to lose. Seeing that the situation was not right, the sages who had rushed over to help immediately changed their attacks. Lin Shun, you bastard, the martial god family built a great career. Sacrificing a few mortals is nothing. How dare you stand in front of the future martial god? You deserve to die. The martial god is righteous. Get rid of this bastard Lin Shun and return peace to the sacred boundary. The sages collectively changed sides. They were still fighting side by side with Lin Chen's team a moment ago. The next moment, they immediately turned hostile and changed sides faster than flipping a book. Fortunately, the hidden experts who followed Lin Chen's servants were all experienced and shrewd. None of them trusted these people who had joined halfway. When the betrayal happened, they immediately attacked them. Dozens of desolate antiquity dragons and divine dragon descendants immediately rushed over to help. In a flash, the situation stabilized again. The 4 demon arch descendants and the top 10 on the Saint talent list suddenly slowed down. Their target was Lin Shun. Since Wu Pianju had interfered, they would see who could snatch Lin Shun when he was defeated first. After all, which expert who could fight their way here did not have a few trump cards? Whoosh! Lin Shen's body moved through the heavenly light, and his movement technique was as fast as light. His essence spirit's perception once again predicted in advance. He continuously used his movement technique in an attempt to block Wu Pianju's shocking palm strike. However, Wu Pianju's attack was relentless. It was as if she wanted to chase Lin Shun to the ends of the world. Her speed was extremely fast. Wu Pianju's cultivation techniques and ultimate techniques were even better than before. The god's blood he inherited not only contained cultivation, but also some cultivation techniques and ultimate techniques that the martial god had not passed down to the Wu family. Lin Shen suddenly laughed loudly and said, "Since you, Wu Pianju, flash your killing move, then I, Lin Shen, won't be courteous either." Wu Pianju suddenly felt that something was wrong, and a sense of danger crept into her heart. Bang! Above Lin Shen's head, a talisman swirling with orange light suddenly appeared. Heaven's might was vast and mighty, surpassing all living beings. Today, if you, Wu Pian, dare to call yourself a martial god, then I, Lin Shun, will slay a god. God Slayer! Boom! The talisman that was circulating with orange light suddenly exploded. Surging red clouds rolled and surged into his body, flowing endlessly. Lin Shen's Saint Power aura was like the sun, moon, and stars. With a single breath, he could devour the sun, moon, and stars. With a single breath, he could destroy 1,000 realms. The 104 hexagonal stars flickering all over Lin Shen's body began to give birth to new scenes. In an extremely short amount of time, Lin Shen's strength skyrocketed. Bang! 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 The palm that was chasing after Lin Shun was actually shattered into fragments of light that filled the sky. Lin Shen's pure strength was like a divine dragon possessing his body, falling from the sky into the galaxy. His body-tempering strength had not reached 700,000 Venerable One's power, but it had broken through 1 million Venerable One's power, all the way to 4 million Venerable One's power. Lin Shen's primordial spirit was like a deity that controlled the universe. and it had skyrocketed all the way to the late-stage primordial spirit realm. Compared to before, the primordial spirit strength was more than 100 times stronger. His Saint Acupoints were like stars in the universe, and he had broken through all the way to the 114th Saint Acupoint. Lin Shun had temporarily stepped into the 7th stage of the Sage Stage, the Receiving Star Stage. Currently, Lin Shun had opened a total of 62 Saint Acupoints. 52 of them belonged to Lin Chen's cultivation base, while the remaining 10 Saint Acupoints were opened by Lin Chen using the God Slayer talent. The host has activated the God Slayer innate skill and consumed 86 million top-grade talent points. Holy Kings who are hostile to the host, 62. Heavenly Demon Venerables who are hostile to the host. A total of 51,142 enemies. The total increase in power is 3,890 times. Cooldown time of God Slayer, 59 days. When a 7th stage of the Receiving Star Stage, Sage Stage, Cultivator channeled all their Saint Chi into a new Saint Acupoint, it would condense into a Saint Chi that was as majestic as a planet. Every time a Saint Acupoint was opened, it would increase the Saint Chi of a life and death realm expert by 20%. Opening 10 Saint Acupoints would increase the Saint Chi of a life and death realm expert by twice. Lin Shun clicked his tongue in amazement. I've entered the Receiving Star Stage in the God Slayer state. The 53rd to 60th Saint Acupoints in the life and death realm are not boosted by any mental cultivation technique. 2 Saint Acupoints will increase the Saint Chi of 1 million Venerable One's power, and 8 Saint Acupoints will increase the Saint Chi of 4 million Venerable One's power. In other words, my life and death realm experts' total Saint Chi is equivalent to 10 million Venerable One's power. Just in the life and death realm, 8 Saint Acupoints were not boosted by any mental cultivation technique, and he already had the Saint Chi of 10 million Venerable One's power. 2 Receiving Saint Acupoints will increase the Saint Acupoints of 10 million Venerable One's power. 40% of 10 million Venerable One's power. In other words, theoretically speaking, my current Saint Chi can unleash a destructive power equivalent to 14 million Venerable One's power. 14 million Venerable power, Saint energy. This limit had already surpassed the Saint King stage. At this moment, countless powerhouses looked as if they had seen a ghost. Especially the Saint King stage powerhouses, they seemed to have seen something unbelievable from Lin Shun. They stared at Lin Shen's 114 hexagonal star acupoints, which had completely overturned their understanding of the world. Even people as strong as Wu Pianju and Yang Qianfan could not help but exclaim in shock. Is there such a thing? A Saint Acupoint was the limit of a Saint Acupoint. What kind of monster was Lin Shun? 114 Saint Acupoints. This wasn't some kind of illusion or illusion. It was something that truly existed. The dragons who had come as reinforcements were dumbfounded. From Lin Chen's body, they felt an unprecedented sense of oppression. The servants were ecstatic. Their lord still had such a trump card. Orange lights swirled and red clouds rose. Lin Chen took a step forward and looked around with a mocking expression. His gaze suddenly fell on the saints who had defected. He stretched out his hand and pretended to invite them. Come on, everyone. Now, please start your performance. If you don't perform well, I'll give you a ticket to the Western Paradise later and send you there for free. The corners of the mouths of the defected powerhouses twitched, and their mouths were filled with bitterness. Damn it, how could this kid have such a trump card? This battle was not only full of twists and turns, it was also full of twists and turns. The powerhouses who were watching the battle in the sword domain almost laughed out loud. Lin Shun was the most unpretentious monster they had ever seen. This guy was so despicable. Buzz. Dozens of primordial spirit waves swept out like lightning, shuttling through the void and hitting the fence-sitters who were trying to defect. Bang, bang, bang. Next, his primordial spirit charged at Fish Dragon Man, yin like water, hitting 1,000 miles away. It shot through and pierced through countless experts. A large number of Saint prison criminals and hundreds of Alliance powerhouses fell from the sky. Ing Jiofeng's face turned pale. One move had turned the tide of the battle. What kind of realm was this guy at now? There were not many mid-stage primordial spirit cultivators in the sacred boundary. After Lin Shun entered the God Slayer state, he displayed the power of a late-stage primordial spirit cultivator and directly crushed a large number of powerhouses with his primordial spirit. Even an ordinary Saint King would not be able to withstand Lin Shen's primordial spirit attack. The two sides were not on the same level at all. From now on, everything was unknown. Chapter 1768. Whoosh! Nangong Jichen said in a low voice when he appeared beside Wu Pianju on his saber light and transformed into a dragon. He has already surpassed the level of a sage ruler. We have to work together. Huh? Wu Pianju was furious. Are you telling me what to do? How long can he last in this state? You guys just need to be in charge of his escape route. Just do your job obediently. Leave the rest to me. Wu Pianju had just obtained the god's blood and was still proud of himself. How could he tolerate Lin Shun humiliating him? He had sworn to make Lin Shun suffer a fate worse than death. When Lin Shun turned to look at the enraged Wu Pianju, he raised his hand and struck out. His palm, which was overflowing with light, suddenly erupted with crimson flames that burned the sky. Saint energy illuminated the sky. Boom! The 9-layer burning sky palm split into 5, and 5 huge palms came crashing down. Wu Pianju gritted his teeth and activated the god's blood. He entered the battle god mode again and suddenly hit the sky. The 5-color dragon aura circled and formed a huge palm. Battle god palm. Boom! Boom! Bang! Bang! The sky split open, and the chaotic space around them started to collapse into chaos and turned into nothingness. Most of the battles were forcefully stopped. Whoosh! Wu Pianju used the battle god step and instantly rushed toward Lin Shun. Nangong Jichen couldn't help but curse in a low voice. This D***M idiot. He can't take down Lin Shun alone. Lin Shun used his movement technique and flashed like lightning. He pulled the demon-slaying spear and fought Wu Pianju alone. Time and space trembled. Even the unstable and sturdy space of the limitless sea started to collapse. The battle between the two had evolved into a life-and-death battle between the top 3 on the Sage talent ranking. Ordinary Sage rulers would also die if they were affected. Run. The Lord is going to start a massacre. Everyone run. Friend from the dragon race, stand aside. From now on, the Lord will take over the entire situation. Lin Shen's servants and the hidden experts seemed to have a tacit understanding. They immediately retreated into the sword realm and left first. Many criminals in the Saint prison were unable to retreat in time and were directly crushed into nothingness, turning into a large number of elemental light balls. The two people in the unbounded sea were like 2 divine lights, fighting from the sky to the bottom of the sea. Wherever they passed, the sky was stirred up, and space and time collapsed. Rip! A wisp of peerless saber insight slashed over swiftly like an evil dragon. Lin Shun pressed his fingers together and swept out, causing a strand of soul core energy to shoot out like a round moon and collide head-on. Bang! With a loud explosion, Nangong Jichen drew his saber and slashed it at Lin Shun. Without another word, he joined a battle with Wu Pianju. Among all the experts present, other than the 17-man team, the true Dragon Holy King, and the top 10 on the Saint talent list, only he was qualified to fight with Lin Shun. At this moment, Nangong Xianyuan suddenly stepped into the air and stood beside Yang Qianfan. Yang Qianfan, how about we talk about cooperation? Yang Qianfan frowned. He was hesitant now. Lin Shen's combat power was not to be underestimated. It was not too late for him to retreat now. If he fought again and failed to kill Lin Shun, he would have to face Lin Shen's crazy revenge. Yang Qianfan said indifferently, "If you want to rope me in to deal with Lin Shun, then let me tell you clearly that I have no plans to be his enemy now." Nangong Xianyuan said, Don't you want to share the secrets on him? With his methods, the opportunities he has may allow us to advance further. Yang Qianfan narrowed his eyes. What are you trying to say? Nangong Xinyuan sent a secret message. According to the information I've gathered recently, ever since Lin Shan appeared in the Holy World, he had multiple pieces of armor, vambraces, and leggings that were suspected to be quasi-divine artifacts. Moreover, he can use these semi-divine artifacts, which proves that these artifacts can be used by beings who have yet to become gods. Yang Qianfan was moved. Semi-divine artifacts? Are you serious? Divine artifacts had divinity, and very few semi-divine artifacts had ever appeared in the world. They were incomplete artifacts created before the sacred boundary was created. Nangong Xinyuan immediately said, Indeed. Even Wu Pianju doesn't know the details. Before he was killed by Lin Shan, he didn't see Lin Shan use this artifact. After he obtained the martial god's divine blood, he went into seclusion and knows nothing about this. He wants Lin Shan's life. You and my Nangong family will work together, and we will split the suspected artifacts of Lin Shan. What do you think? Nangong Xinyuan threw out a bargaining chip. Yang Qianfan immediately sneered. Nangong Xinyuan, what do you think I am? Above the 7th grade, the artifacts will have some spirituality. The 9th grade only recognizes one master. Unless the previous master takes the initiative to inherit it, it can't be used by force, let alone a semi-divine artifact. Even if we snatch it, how are we going to use it? Will the semi-divine artifact recognize us as its master? Nangong Xinyuan smiled confidently. You're right. We don't have the qualifications to make the semi-divine artifact recognize us as its master. Similarly, Lin Shan won't either. Yang Qianfan's eyes flashed. You mean, Lin Shan might not be its master? Both sides can only be partners or allies. Nangong Xinyuan smiled. Yes, that's what I mean. If that's the case, if we snatch the semi-divine artifacts, we can use them. Nangong Xinyuan smiled. Speaking of this, Nangong Xuanyuan's eyes burned with passion. If you show your move, Ing Jiufeng will probably use his move too. Genesis wants Lin Shan dead, and Wu Pianju wants Lin Shan's life. We want to split the semi-divine artifacts on Lin Shan. Everyone's direction is the same. Yang Qianfan pondered for less than 3 breaths, and his expression suddenly became fierce. Okay, since that's the case, let's kill him. According to what you said, Lin Shan still has many semi-divine artifacts. That means he might still have a trump card. Nangong Xinyuan nodded. That's right, so we'll have to rely on your trump card. The two of them looked at each other with tacit understanding. If they wanted to take down Lin Shan, it would be impossible if they didn't take out some of their trump cards today. These two actually had their eyes on Lin Shan's God of War set. However, Lin Shan, who was fighting with Nangong Jichin and Wu Pianju, smiled knowingly. The two of them seemed to be communicating telepathically, but in fact, Lin Shan understood everything clearly. Awakened perception and late-stage essence soul realm. How powerful! I'm afraid that other than true gods, no other living beings can communicate telepathically near me. A murderous intent flashed across Lin Shan's eyes. Originally, he didn't want to bother with Yang Qianfan. It was fine if he backed off. However, things were different now that he had his eyes on his God of War set. Rumble. Finally, Yang Qianfan and Nangong Xinyuan attacked Lin Shan aggressively. Lin Shan sneered in his heart. There are quite a lot of enemies to kill this time. But no matter, I won't let any of them off today. Wu Pianju was furious when he saw that even Yang Qianfan and Nangong Xinyuan had come to help him. Damn it, they were looking down on him. Do I need your help to fight Lin Shan? You're looking down on me. Chapter 1769. So many people came to support Wu Pianju just to beat up Lin Shan. Wu Pianju felt that her dignity and pride had been insulted. She turned around with a martial god step and rushed toward Lin Shan. Lin Shan turned around and smashed Nangong Jichin's sword intent with a spear. Then, he threw a punch at Wu Pianju with pure strength and same power. Wu Pianju met his punch head-on without fear. Chi! Bang! As smoke billowed and exploded, the two of them exchanged punches. They were evenly matched. Wu Pianju was about to follow up with another attack. Is it really okay to get so close to me? Lin Chen's sudden words made Wu Pianju's hair stand on end. Boom! Lin Chen threw out another punch, and it landed on Wu Pianju's chest. Chrono Transcendence Talent. Wu Pianju's expression changed when a green light flashed past. Oh no, it's that move again. Wu Pianju recalled that before she was killed by Lin Chen, she had been dragged into that strange dimension. As the saying went, the stronger one was, the more confident one would be. After Wu Pianju's strength had skyrocketed, she had no intention of taking Lin Chen's move seriously. She didn't expect that he would dare to use the same move again. Today's me is different from when I was in the heaven opening realm. Lin Chen, I don't believe that your despicable move will still work. Wu Pianju's shoulders trembled as she took Lin Chen's punch head-on. His saint power surged out like a raging wave or an eruption of billions of volcanoes, shattering the void. However, whoosh! The green light extinguished, and Wu Pianju disappeared. Wu Pianju's cultivation, which was full of confidence, was still unable to shake Lin Chen's move. This was because it was neither a cultivation technique nor a secret technique. It was Lin Chen's unique talent. Chrono Transcendence talent activated successfully. Targets successfully included. 7 million top-level talent points consumed. Nangong Jichen was shocked. What move? There's such a move? Lin Chen laughed heartily and said, Next, I'll draw the lucky audience and give them a flying gift. Nangong Jichen was shocked and angry. He held his sword and slashed at Lin Chen. Lin Chen snapped his fingers. System, fulgurating transposition. When the wild and sharp saber intent slashed down, Lin Chen's figure instantly vanished. In the blink of an eye, Lin Chen and Yang Qianfan swapped places. Facing Nangong Jichen's blade, Yang Qianfan's heart trembled. He felt a bone-piercing sense of danger. He had no choice but to hold his halberd and hack towards the sky to meet the blade intent head-on. Boom! The blade will exploded and dispersed like a rolling dragon. Yang Qianfan was forced to take several steps back. He hit his allies again. This scene caused Nangong Jichen to be momentarily stupefied. Lin Chen, who had swapped positions with Yang Qianfan, happened to appear near Nangong Xianyuan. Nangong Xuanyuan's pupils constricted. Motherf asterisk her. Why is it this move again? Previously, when he released the Door of Destiny in the Saber domain, this fellow had also used this move. It was like a ghost. Swoosh! Lin Chen flew through the sky. His current movement technique speed was terrifyingly fast. The other party could not react at all. Lin Chen's palm hit Nangong Xianyuan. The emerald space flashed, and Nangong Xianyuan also disappeared. Successful activation of Ultra Space-Time Talent. Targets successfully included. 3,500,000 top-grade talent points consumed. RIP. Lin Chen tore through space and moved. Stepping on the clouds, he traveled thousands of miles in an instant, giving almost no time for anyone to react. Yang Qianfan instantly felt a blood-red light flashing in front of him. By the time he reacted, Lin Chen had already appeared in front of him. *T. Yang Qianfan's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly swung his overlord halberd horizontally. Lin Chen's body was like a swimming dragon. While dodging all the attacks, he also punched Yang Qianfan. His speed was too fast. Lin Chen, who was in the Godslayer talent state, was so fast that he was more than 3 times faster than before. Yang Qianfan did not even have a chance to retreat. He was also sucked into the ultra space-time plane. Everything happened too fast. In almost a breath's time, 3 great saint geniuses disappeared in the chaotic battle, leaving only Nangong Jichen. Lin Chen did not give the other party any time to react. Ambilight, cloud, shadow, heavenly light. The 5-colored lights surged and surrounded his body. Lin Chen activated his movement technique again. He rode on the blood-red light, like a blood moon in the night sky. His speed increased by another level, and he instantly appeared in front of Nangong Ji-chun. With the enhancement of Ambilight, Lin Chen's movement technique increased by more than a level. It completely exceeded the range of a Saint King's perception. What? Nangong Ji-chun wanted to retreat, and his face was full of shock. Lin Chen swung his spear with one hand. When he flicked the blade away, his palm was like a wild dragon, suddenly attacking Nangong Ji-chen's dantian. Nangong Ji-chun was forced to receive Lin Chen's palm. Instead, he threw a punch at Lin Chen's palm, and a trace of peri-celestial saber intent appeared on his fist. Rumble. Bang. The fist and palm collided. Lin Chen's 5 fingers bled slightly. Even with Lin Chen's current cultivation, peri-celestial saber intent, he still could not block it. However, Lin Chen wanted to be close. The moment the fist and palm collided, a green light flashed. Wong. The space trembled. Nangong Ji-chun was also taken away. When most of the experts reacted, Nangong Ji-chun, Nangong Xianyuan, Wu Pianju, and Yang Qianfan, who had tried to encircle Lin Chen, had all disappeared. When the Demon Emperor's daughter, the Red Moon Demoness, suddenly used her strength to push back Lin Chen's clone, her eyes trembled. Even her bloodline ability, Thousand Moons Universe, couldn't achieve the level of skill Lin Chen's main body had displayed. However, when Lin Chen suddenly turned around, his eyes happened to meet the Red Moon Demoness. He smiled knowingly like a child. The Red Moon Demoness instantly had goosebumps. Killing intent. This guy wants to kill me. The Red Moon Demoness felt fear for the first time. Just as she was about to give an order, shadow shift. Lin Chen and his clone's positions suddenly changed. He used his movement technique. Lin Chen's extremely coquettish smile appeared in front of the Red Moon Demoness' eyes. This was the first time the Demon Emperor's daughter was so scared that her face turned pale as if she had seen a ghost. Her face was filled with fear, as if it was saying, "Don't come over." Lin Chen raised his hand and slapped her. The Red Moon Demoness was included in the list of lucky spectators. No. Where did you take the Red Moon Princess? Despicable human. I will kill you. Hand over the princess, brat. Otherwise, I will taste the pain of thousands of demons biting my heart and refining my bones. Many demons lost their minds on the spot and roared crazily. Lin Chen casually threw out a sentence. I can't beat you, and I can't boast. I really don't know what's the use of you demons. You are the weakest demons I have ever seen. Crawl. Boom. 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 Lin Chen used his movement technique and used his shadow shift several times to bring the remaining 3 descendants of the Demon Emperor into the ultra-space-time dimension. Then, Lin Chen looked at the 9-Sun Saint King Jin Tai, Sunflower Evil Lord Jin Wuxia, Demon Moon Chong Air, and the leader of the Genesis era, Ing Jiofeng. The saint geniuses who were targeted by him all felt their hairs stand on end. Not good, retreat. Something's not right. Let's escape first. We can't afford to offend this bastard. F***CK. I can hide. Jin Tai, Chong Air, and the rest wanted to escape, but Lin Chen's 4 clones had already predicted this. They used their movement techniques and blocked their escape route. One clone could fight them to a standstill. With 2 clones, Jin Tai and the rest could not escape. Although the shadow clones were not suitable for the Godslayer talent, it was too difficult to escape from Lin Chen's hands with his original cultivation and primordial spirit power. There was no way to escape. The other clone directly interfered with the battle between Ing Jiofeng and Li Ziki. When the clones chased after the 4 saint geniuses, no matter what trump cards they used to escape, Lin Chen's primordial spirit power could predict them in advance. However, just when everyone thought that Lin Chen was going to take down the 4 saint geniuses, rip, space was torn apart. Lin Chen used his shadow shift talent to switch positions with Lin Pingon. When he used his movement technique, he appeared in front of the Dragon Saint King in an instant. Countless experts were dumbfounded. That was a F***King fake attack. Lin Chen's target was the Holy Prison. There was such a move? This guy is too cunning. Why is he so familiar with it? He's a cunning old fox, the dragon's Saint King. Chapter 1770. Good heavens, this feint had fooled everyone. Lin Shen's next target was the true dragon Holy King. To Lin Shen, this Holy King was a much bigger threat than the other saint geniuses. The other saint geniuses might not dare to provoke Lin Shen, but this guy was different. If Lin Shen did not kill him, he would be in big trouble. You're coming for me? The true dragon Holy King was so scared by Lin Shen that he broke out in cold sweat. However, he was very experienced, and he was not easily intimidated. He gathered his strength, and all his saint acupuncture points vibrated. The saint chi in his saint acupuncture points was quickly depleted, and 1,000,000 dragons roared in his palm. His 10 fingers were filled with the power of 1,000,000 heavenly dragons, and he grabbed the sky. A large number of clouds and bloodlight were shattered. It was an afterimage. The true dragon Holy King's eyes widened. He had caught something. Lin Shen smiled mysteriously, and with a flash of light, he dodged all his attacks. In the blink of an eye, he was already behind him. Another lucky spectator. Carry him away. Next. After sending the true dragon Holy King away, Lin Shen laughed. He shifted his gaze and used his shadow shift talent to switch positions with Elder Xianyu. Then, he threw a punch at Thousand Fox Holy King's sissy face that was so weak that it was about to die. Bam! Bam! The Thousand Fox Holy King was also brought into the dimension. It was too fast. Lin Shen's moves were clean, smooth, and smooth. It was like a smooth dance. Lin Shen knew that if he used shifting shadows right from the start, there was a high chance that he would be guarded against. Only a sneak attack would be the best. Moreover, the most important thing was that under normal circumstances, it would be extremely difficult to pull such a strong person into the ultra space-time dimension. Only by entering the God-Slayer state would he be able to unleash his full power and catch his opponent off guard. With the three of them working together, Lin Shen took down the opponent. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, Lin Shen's cloud shadow heavenly light appeared again. In the next moment, it was right above Ying Jiufeng's head. Lin Shen's fist came crashing down. The corner of Ying Jiufeng's mouth twitched, and his divine bird bloodline began to burn. Whoosh! Ying Jiufeng was carried away into the dimension beyond space and time. Ignoring Li Ziqi's reaction, Lin Shen's avatar was already prepared. In the blink of an eye, Lin Shen used fulgurating shadows 3 times in a row. The last 3 holy geniuses were all brought into the ultra space-time plane. At this point, the chaotic battle in the unbounded sea instantly calmed down by half. The main force had all been dragged away by Lin Shen. Only the dragon race, the demon race, and a large number of holy purgatory criminals were left. Even Lin Shen's servants, the protectors, elders, and hidden experts of the Godflame Palace had all retreated. There were also 4 illusionary clones that took away the 2 old ancestors of Divine Flame Palace and Shangguanju in an instant. Clang! The avatar handed over the absolute flame saber. Lin Shen grasped it, and he stepped into the air with the saber. The great Dragon King of the extreme Hell Water Dragon race seemed to feel some sharp and terrifying murderous intent. After exchanging glances with Lin Shen, he sent a telepathic message to all the dragons. No, everyone retreat quickly. The Dragon Kings understood and immediately withdrew from the battle with the dragons. They huddled together to launch a defense. The heavenly demon Venerable, who was already injured, was temporarily relieved because of the temporary retreat of the dragon race. When he was about to be vigilant, boom, 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 the sky trembled and the light dimmed. A sharp aura that could shake the heavens and the earth was brewing on the hot saber in Lin Shen's hand. Lin Shen walked with the saber in hand, smiling coldly. There were gods in the ancient times whose tears left no trace. Flowing lights surrounded his 5 fingers. Lin Shen raised his hand and swung his saber. Clang! Whoosh! The saber whistled and turned into a dragon's roar. The snow-white saber aura swept across the sky, spinning rapidly and splitting into five. Bang, bang, bang. As the saber aura spun, it suddenly trembled and exploded into millions of saber aura fragments. At that moment, all the holy prison criminals, alliance experts, and many demons could not help but hold their breaths. The saber aura fragments that were like broken jade instantly filled the sky. The saber aura fragments were as beautiful as broken jade, and their sharpness soared into the sky. The beautiful and piercingly cold scene made countless experts exclaim subconsciously, "So beautiful!" Only the experts at the Saint King realm and above could sense with fear what kind of terrifying power was hidden in that beautiful saber aura. Oh no, the situation is not good. Quick, defend. Escape into the void. Oh no, it's too late. The Alliance experts and holy prison criminals turned pale with fright, especially the heavenly demon venerables of the demon race. They felt a fatal murderous intent. The endless saber aura fragments were like a hurricane, flying toward all the holy prison criminals and demons at an extremely fast speed. Bang, 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 bang. A rain of blood bloomed all over the sky, and the endless saber aura fragments poured into the bodies of many experts. The saber aura fragments were either condensed by pure strength, shot out by the invincible primordial spirit strength, or slashed out by the saint force that pierced through heaven and earth. It was impossible to guard against, and there was no way to retreat. The blood mixed with the holy prison criminals and the four great demon clans splashed into the sky, and endless explosions resounded outside the unbounded sea. The demon body turned into ashes, and the monstrous demon chi disappeared. One by one, the heaven demon primes and peak demon primes all fell into a pool of blood, and some were even minced into nothingness by the saber aura fragments. They died without a complete corpse. Those ferocious holy prison criminals who had finally obtained a short period of freedom were also smashed into pieces by the saber aura fragments. Even if the Alliance experts used all their means, including many life-saving trump cards, elixirs, space sacred artifacts, and defensive sacred artifacts, they could not survive the flying saber aura fragments. This scene sent chills down the spines of the Saint Kings in the Sword Domain. Even the experts as strong as the Dragon Clan could not help but feel numb in their scalps. This killing move was too terrifying. It was simply a killing move for a group attack. If Lin Shen's cultivation was still at the initial stage of the life and death realm, perhaps it would not be so abnormal. However, in the state of the God Slayer, his cultivation realm had already surpassed the scope of the Saint King realm. Even ordinary Saint Kings could only be crushed in front of him, let alone experts below the Saint King realm. Under the premise of the support of such a terrifying cultivation realm, this saber move, God's Tear, coupled with his numerous orange tear talents, could sweep away all enemies in the world with one slash. The saber aura fragments crushed all the way out of the unbounded sea, and after the saber aura's aftermath raised the northern part of the sword domain to the ground, it finally faded away slowly. The sky was filled with blood mist, and a downpour of blood rain poured down crazily within the 36 regions. The phenomenon of a Saint King falling. Moreover, it was not just one. Half of the Genesis Alliance's Saint Kings had fallen. On the side of the Holy Prison, the criminals were completely annihilated, and only 3 Saint Kings were left. The Martial God family only had 2 severely injured patriarchs left. In the demon army, except for the 8 strongest heaven demon primes, the rest were all dead. Lin Shun had eliminated most of the enemies with one slash. His main target was the demon army. Otherwise, if the main target was the Genesis Alliance, this slash would have cut off all the heads of the Genesis Alliance. As for the 8 surviving heaven demon primes and the Saint Kings of the Genesis Alliance, their lives were hanging by a thread. Their saint bodies and demon bodies were full of ghastly holes, and demon blood kept flowing out. Saint blood overflowed, and their bones and flesh were torn apart. The extreme hell water dragon king of the dragon clan was dumbfounded. Her beautiful eyes trembled as she spoke in a trembling voice. This is all Lin Chen's doing. He reversed the situation with one slash. No, look, what is that? It looks like the Lord's clone. While Lin Chen's servants were exclaiming in shock, the 3 illusionary clones were standing near the 8 heavenly demon venerables and the remaining saint kings. All the saint points and saint power of the clones were drained, and the lantern-like 9-colored star cluster in their palms was divided into 5. The heaven demon primes and saint kings, who were on the verge of death, felt their hair stand on end. Lin Chen sneered. Since I didn't kill you with one slash, I'll send you on your way. Annihilation, star explosion. 9 layers of starlight bloomed in the sky again, and this time, everything returned to silence. The battle had reached its final chapter. Chapter 1771. Attribute light balls filled the sky, and there were so many of them that it was unprecedented. Previously, Lin Chen was afraid that using the star explosion of his doppelganger would drain all his saint power, causing him to lose the opportunity to use too much rune energy to make up for it. But after using God's tear, this concern disappeared. When a large number of attribute light balls appeared in front of him, Lin Chen immediately used his trump card, Annihilation. Star explosion. The Dragon Kings and Venerables of the Dragon Clan still had lingering fear and shock. With Lin Chen's move, the Dragon Clan's reinforcements could not be considered as timely help. It could only be said that the Dragon Clan's reinforcements had allowed Lin Chen's servants to avoid many sacrifices, and they could not even change the direction of the battle. He, Lin Chen, alone could also turn the tide. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless demonic blood gathered, and the saint power was vast and mighty. The 2 patriarchs of the martial god family and the 8 heavenly demon venerables were faintly visible in the void. Their broken saint body and demon body began to reform. A centipede dies, but never falls down. These people's Saint King realm were close to the complete Saint King realm. As long as their saint hearts were not destroyed, their saint bodies would not die. However, because of Lin Chen's annihilation, even if they reformed their saint bodies, they would still be in ruins, and their saint power would be exhausted. Brothers, now is the time to help the Lord destroy these guys. The heavenly demon venerables are nothing. Let's go. Everyone from the Dragon Clan, it's time to beat them up. Everyone swarmed forward and surrounded the heavenly demon venerables and the remaining saint kings. Has the battle outside ended? With a thought, Lin Chen used the sacred dragon escape to collect the attribute light balls for him. Lin Chen turned to look at the void. On the other side of the unbounded sea, the battle between the 17 people from the holy prison was getting more and more intense. These guys have been brought into the ultra space-time. I can't give them too much time to breathe and react. I can't maintain my Godslayer state for too long. I'll leave the battle outside to them. Every second wasted meant an additional change in the battle. In his ultra space-time plane, the most troublesome enemies of a human race and demonic dragon race were gathered. With a flash of green light, Lin Chen escaped into the ultra space-time plane. Unbounded sea, east side. The domain of the fortune teller expanded, and the confrontation between the 2 top-notch fortune tellers became more and more intense. It was as if they were constantly transmitting battle information to the people around them, not stopping for even a second. The battle between the 2 sides had reached its climax. Space twisted like a spiral as 2 figures used space shift to appear behind Long Jioshan like ghosts. The golden horn seizes life. The silver horn returns to heaven. The 2 of them use Zhou Baichuan's space warp to teleport behind Long Jioshan, intending to launch a sneak attack. The horns on their heads were enshrouded in a sharp aura of metal. They were sharp and unbreakable. 2 destructive thunderbolts shot out from their horns and attacked Long Jioshan. Buzz! In the next moment, as the space flashed with silver light, The annihilation of heaven and earth followed closely behind. I'm late. This move is our strongest attack. Even if the two of you make it in time, how can you save him? As the two brothers laughed, a smile appeared on Tianjin and Earth Annihilation's cold and evil faces for the first time. Tianjin and Earth Annihilation waved toward the sky and shouted, "Swords come!" Clang! Space split open, and two dark green swords, which seemed to be surrounded by the aura of death from hell, came out of their sheaths and entered their palms. What? The two brothers turned pale with fright. You two assassins no swords, come? Did you learn the wrong move? Tianjin and Earth Annihilation slashed violently with their swords, using the extreme Tower Heaven splitting sword technique. Chi! Bang! Bang! When the golden and silver horns were cut in half, the horns on their heads were also cut off and exploded on the spot. Sacred blood spurted out. The two brothers held their heads and screamed. The golden horn seizes life and said in disbelief, "This sword technique belongs to Fongling. How can you?" Assassins were good at assassination. Only those with strong offensive abilities would know this. Tianjin charged over with his sword and laughed loudly. "In front of my lord, nothing is impossible. Your biggest mistake is not to fight us, but to be enemies with our master." At this moment, Tianjin and Earth Annihilation's aura changed completely. They were no longer like the king cobras hiding in the dark night. Instead, they were ferocious leopards, violent and fierce. The Golden Horn and Silver Horn brothers were completely terrified. What was going on? Weren't these two assassins like them? Boom! There was an explosion in the unbounded ocean. Long Jiushan, who was in the middle of a fierce battle, trembled and was forced to retreat step by step. When he stepped on the void, blood flowed out of the hand holding the axe. Long Jiushan's eyes, which had always been cruel and ruthless, became deep and excited. Qing Wangu smiled and said, "Little brat, don't think that you can get close to me just because you're also a body-refining sacred king. I used the universe storm to refine my body. From the beginning to the end, I am not just one level stronger than you." The world annihilation thunder hammer shone brightly. Qing Wangu's hands were surrounded by a dragon-like energy storm. He swung the hammer and smashed it on Long Jiushan's head. He laughed arrogantly. "Long Jiushan, I'm having a lot of fun. Now you can die." At this moment, there was a flash of blood. Clang! The world annihilation thunder hammer was sent flying, and the energy around Qing Wangu's hands dissipated. Qing Wangu's arms were numb. He, who was known for his strength, could not hold his sacred weapon. Qing Wangu looked at Long Jiushan in disbelief. At this moment, blood energy was surging all over his body. Blood-red flames burned around him, and even the 100 saint acupoints poured into the flames. Long Jiushan was like an angry dragon rising to the sky. His pure strength soared to 8 million supremes. Just the energy from his surging blood energy burned the void into a sea of fire. Boom! Long Jiushan swung his axe horizontally, and heaven and earth were turned upside down. Bang! Qing Wangu was hacked into a bloody man. When he was sent flying, blood spurted out from his shoulder. He said in disbelief, "You still have reservations? This is the forbidden technique of that Ji Wuchen. How could you have learned it?" Long Jiushan grinned, overflowing with arrogance. "Qing Wangu, have you gone soft so quickly? I've just King warmed up." Long Jiushan took a step forward, and the void exploded. The battle changed abruptly. Rip! Another 2 arrows that shone like divine light collided. Thunder and fire intertwined, and the arrow radiance with the power of wind and thunder shattered Qi Fian's arrow, heading straight for him. Tang Fenglei smirked. "I made this arrow with the 9 wind and thunder. You should be proud that I used it to deal with you. Die, Qi Fian." Wind and thunder swept past, and blood exploded. Tang Fenglei was shocked. He dodged it. Tang Fenglei drew his bow and shot again. Qi Fian stepped on clouds, and his body turned into countless bloody shadows to dodge the opponent's attack. It was Yin Tianguang's cloud, shadow, heavenly light. His speed was so fast that it was dazzling. Most importantly, his movement technique was so powerful that it was like flowing water. It was superb. Swoosh. Boom. A sky-burning arrow that stirred up clouds of fire shot toward Tang Fenglei. Tang Fenglei was caught off guard, and he shot another arrow with difficulty. When the two arrows canceled each other out, Tang Fenglei immediately retreated, his face solemn. He can actually learn such a miraculous movement technique. Yin Tianguang's movement technique, paired with Qi Fian's peerless archery technique, was like adding wings to a tiger. Rip! Boom! At this moment, lightning flashed like a dragon, and together with the silver light, it crossed space and penetrated Zhou Baichuan's space defense. Zhou Baichuan spat out blood and retreated, his expression horrified. The white jade fairy in front of him, Xiao held a sacred spear with lightning flashing in her hand. Lightning danced gracefully and lingered around the fairy's body, along with her skirt. Her celestial hair danced in the wind, and she stood upright like a goddess of war. Xiao transformed from a gentle and refined fairy into a valiant goddess of war. Zhou Baichuan's expression was as if he had seen a ghost, and his mouth kept trembling. You know spear techniques? Impossible. You've cultivated such powerful spear techniques, yet you can still maintain the same level of spatial divine technique as me? Xiao stroked her black hair and smiled mysteriously. As a support-oriented sacred king, I know a few offensive techniques. It's very logical, isn't it? Zhou Baichuan. Xiaoling's spatial divine technique, coupled with dark lightning, had the power of skipping through space. It was simply impossible to guard against, and one could not predict where she would attack from. It could be said that she was a dragon entering the sea, possessing absolute dominance in battle. It was not that Zhou Baichuan did not know offensive techniques. It was also not that Tang Fenglei did not know movement techniques. It was that if a top-notch expert wanted to be proficient in a field and maintain the best state at all times, it would be very difficult for him to cultivate other techniques. If he tried to cultivate other techniques, he would have to maintain the field that he was proficient in at the best, while also maintaining the other field techniques that he cultivated to perfection. In this way, it could only be said that he would not be a burden, and he might not be able to become much stronger. Not only would a half-baked switch to cultivation not increase one's combat power, it would instead create flaws. It was like a sacred king who was proficient in defensive techniques, cultivating an offensive technique. If he switched to cultivation and couldn't cultivate the offensive technique to the same level. At that time, in terms of offensive techniques, he would not be able to win against an offensive opponent. In terms of defensive techniques, he would be weaker than an enemy of the same level. It was to the extent that both were useless. As for the so-called competition of talent, which of those who could become sacred kings would be lacking in talent? Therefore, there were almost no exceptions for peerless experts who were proficient in all fields. Every expert would only cultivate their own top-notch techniques to the extreme at all times. If the abilities of the top-notch experts were divided into values from 1 to 10, then the switch to cultivation would not change. That so-called change in cultivation did not have a value of 2 to 9. Even if one cultivated to 9, they would only gain an ability that was not considered burdensome. In reality, there was only a value of 0 or 10. Either they did not cultivate, or if they wanted to cultivate, they had to cultivate to more than 10. And Lin Chen's system strengthening and system inheritance could not only allow the servants to reach the value of 10 for a short period of time, they could also easily surpass it. This was the strongest trump card that Lin Chen left for the servants, learning from each other's strengths to make up for their weaknesses. They learned each other's unique skills. Other than Xiaoling's spatial magic that required a special bloodline to use, or Jiang Taisu's ability that required a fortune teller's life item to activate. The rest could be taught without holding back. After the servants made up for their own shortcomings, Not only would it not become a weakness, it could also be combined with their own characteristics to become an even stronger trump card. Not to mention, Lin Shun even equipped them with the strengthening plus 17 ninth grade sacred artifact that made up for their shortcomings. This was not a half-baked cultivation, but a complete addition of more than one trump card to the servants. Xiaoling tied up her hair and held the spear in her jade-like hand. She was biting cold, like a sonorous rose. When she smiled sweetly, "My master, Lin Shun, is unparalleled in the world. What God can do, he can also do. What God can't do, he can also do. With him in the world, there are no more gods." As soon as her voice fell, Xiaoling held the spear and raised it up, pointing it at the sky in a beautiful and fatal arc. Zhou Baichuan was shocked and wanted to retreat. Lightning flashed with a silver light in space and actually attacked from behind. Whoosh! Boom! This spear hit Zhou Baichuan's back again. His back was charred black, and he screamed in pain. There's actually such a move? At this moment, Heartbreak Red, whose face was slightly pale, finally realized the seriousness of the problem. Yu Linglong at the side immediately flicked her finger. The light of the blood moon showered down, making up for the sacred power that he had consumed. Unexpectedly, Jiang Tai-Su's whole body was suffused with five-colored flowing light. His severely exhausted aura actually recovered a lot quickly. It was actually Fei Wushuang's ambolite flowing light. You know how to do that too? Heartbreak Red was completely dumbfounded. Jiang Tai-Su laughed loudly. The real battle has just begun. Boom, boom, boom. The most intense battle in the sky turned the world upside down, and the realm sea was turbulent. Four figures flashed one after another. Waves and rain of saber auras were stirred. Silk-like sword auras flashed and pierced. Saber auras and sword auras and saber auras clashed into a chaotic storm. This scene caused all the Saint Kings within the sword domain to be horrified. It was an unprecedented chaos. Ever since the sacred boundary was created, there had never been four supreme experts with saber auras and sword auras fighting with their lives on the line at the same time. This was the only time in the sacred boundary's history. Fong Ling stepped on the clouds and slashed with his sword. Lang Fanyun's body was covered in light, and his saber was like a dragon. The duo's sword and saber auras surged all the way. Jin Taichu's sword aura was unleashed, and his sword slashed horizontally. Fong Ling's fighting spirit was raging, and his sword aura was concentrated, and his sword pierced. The tip of the sword against the tip of the sword. With a spurt, both of them vomited blood at the same time. Lang Fanyun slashed at Jiang Poi's head. His saber aura was like rain, and one saber turned into 10,000 sabers. Jiang Poi slashed with both hands, and his saber aura shot in all directions. Layers of saber shadows were impenetrable, and he slashed across the sky. Clang! Boom! Jiang Poi retreated, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Lang Fanyun's arm was bleeding, and the fighting spirit in his eyes was rising. With a turn, Fong Ling and Lang Fanyun attacked again. At that moment, Fong Ling and Lang Fanyun's chi and blood were burning as they activated the forbidden technique, Dark Blood Escape. Their bodies were covered in colorful lights. Their divine bodies had Long Jioshan's tyrant dragon brilliant body, and their pupils were also flowing with the light of Situ Changxing's 5 divine eyes. They had the immortal Dawn Sect's unique mystic technique, purple clouds facing the sky, which used their vitality as the price to rapidly recover their depleted divine power. They were always at full power. Lang Fanyun's and Fong Ling's hair was gradually turning white, and the corners of their eyes were gradually showing signs of aging. They were fighting with their lives on the line. One could even see that they were gradually aging. Shangwan Wudi, Qi Fian, and Long Jioshan's opponents might be extremely strong, but they could still deal with them. However, Lang Fanyun and Fong Ling were different. Even though Fong Ling and Lang Fanyun had broken through to sword and saber auras, their accumulation of sacred kings was still far from their opponents. Their opponents were known as the strongest sacred kings below the immortal state. They were much stronger than the Sky-High Sword King and the Heaven Butcher Saber King, who guarded the Sword Realm and monopolized the Providence. They were definitely not opponents that could be defeated just by mastering one or two more powerful techniques. They even mastered the ultimate techniques that the entire team could cultivate together. If they did not even dare to gamble with their lives, there was definitely no chance of winning. Jiang Poi's cold expression showed a hint of seriousness and shock. Is this the courage to challenge me? Jin Taichu was moved. These two have no intention of leaving alive. A gentleman dies for his bosom friend. They are truly formidable heroes of a world. The battle between the two sides had come to an end. Chapter 1772. Inside the space-time plane, a pair of crystal claws came crashing down, carrying the power of thousands of planes. However, it could not even tear the space here apart. Absolute Nine Lives Demon Eyes was furious. He cursed, "What kind of strange place is this? Is there a spatial artifact in the world that can trap me?" Wu Pianju glanced at him and sneered. "Demon, don't waste your energy. I'm afraid that other than defeating the caster, no other power can break this plane from the inside. At least, it's impossible for anyone below the true God realm to do so." Wu Pianju felt nothing for the demon. If it were not for the fact that they had a common enemy, Lin Shun, he would have attacked the demon long ago. The Red Moon Demoness said gloomily, "Does he want to trap us here until we die?" Wu Pianju sneered. "Impossible. It's impossible for him to use such a powerful spatial plane without paying a price. Moreover, there are no creatures here that can deal with us. I'm afraid he will appear first before long." The true dragon Saint King's calm demeanor hid a hint of hysteria. He bit his lips and said fiercely, "As long as he appears later, we will work together to kill him. I don't believe that he can deal with all of us by himself." Wonderful. At this moment, applause and praises were mixed together. Lin Chen's figure appeared. He carried a spear on his back, and his silver robe fluttered. His gaze landed on Wu Pianju. He smiled and said, "Your Excellency, Wu Pianju has good eyes. You knew that I would appear." Before Wu Pianju could reply, Ying Jiufeng's aura surged. Many divine bird phantoms hovered above his head and soared into the sky. There was a multicolored peacock with clouds lingering around it. There was a great Kuan Peng that breathed lightning and fire. There was a true flame fire phoenix, a heavenly lake golden phoenix that shone with golden light, and a blue one that burned with blue flames. There was also a cold moon snow phoenix that breathed snow and had frost-like feathers. There was a dazzling primordial spirit that was as deep as the sea. There was a Xianming flying pheasant that was as tall as 10,000 mountains. There was also a myriad calamity gale that had the body of an eagle, feathers like black iron, and large wings. It was surrounded by endless storms. Every divine bird phantom represented the history and majesty of the phoenix race. The shadows of the 9 divine birds appeared behind Ying Jiufeng. At this moment, Ying Jiufeng's divine splendor shone brightly. His white robe fluttered in the wind, and his 9 phoenix wings spread out behind him. His divinity was so strong that he looked like a divine bird that had descended to the mortal world. When he opened his eyes, they shone with a golden light and were filled with a terrifying pressure. With a single glance, a vast pressure that could shatter stars appeared. The current Ying Jiufeng had an aura that was even more ferocious than Wu Pianju's. The eyes of the 4 demon emperors turned solemn. This guy is actually going all out. From this pressure, there's no doubt that this human has the strength of a quasi-god. It's comparable to my clan's Devil Emperor avatar. Quasi-god. Ying Jiufeng used his killer move. Lin Shun. Ying Jiufeng's voice was like the cry of a phoenix, spreading throughout the dimension. I'm not interested in playing games with you anymore. I'm a man of my word. This time you must die." As soon as he finished speaking, the shadow of the great raging Kuanpeng above Ing Jiufeng's head suddenly shone with divine light. Boom! A sharp claw with the power of thunder and fire instantly slashed at Lin Chen's position. It seemed to have appeared out of thin air. Chi! 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 Lin Chen's defense was broken, and blood splattered everywhere. The true dragon Holy King and the others subconsciously retreated. Even Wu Pianju did not react in time. If he faced this move, he would probably end up like Lin Chen. Fast. Too fast. What a monster. This guy's strength is even stronger than the dragon avatar I met in the dragon world. On the other side of the dimension, in an extremely distant location, Lin Chen's figure appeared once again. The one that was injured previously was his avatar. If he had rashly attacked just now, his main body would have been injured. Ing Jiufeng narrowed his eyes. He had fought with Lin Chen several times and had a certain understanding of him. The Lin Chen that he attacked was not his main body. At this moment, Lin Chen observed. The light of the Kuanpeng behind Ing Jiufeng dimmed a little. He was afraid that it would be gone if he used it again. Lin Chen analyzed. This attack was comparable to a quasi-god's, so the number of times it could be used should be extremely limited. Ing Jiufeng frowned and said, "This is not his main body." Wu Pianju raised an eyebrow and immediately used the martial god steps to rush to the avatar's head, wanting to smash it with one palm. Buzz! As the energy fluctuated, all of the avatar's sacred power was drained. 5 lantern-shaped 9 light star clusters floated above the avatar's head and suddenly burst. Oh no! Wu Pianju felt a dangerous aura. Boom! It was another brutal annihilation starburst. With the avatar's current cultivation level, even without the God Slayer, the annihilation star explosion and instant shadow division were enough to make Wu Pianju suffer. Damn it, this guy's avatar is also so strong. Wu Pianju was caught off guard and was in a sorry state. She used a lot of sacred power to block all the damage from this attack. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, a divine light fell, and 7 phantom divine lights descended. All of Lin Chen's avatars were present. The sacred rune's energy was consumed by tens of millions of points. I don't believe that I can't kill all of you. All 7 of Lin Chen's avatars used Annihilation Star Explosion at the same time. Each avatar's sacred power cultivation level was comparable to 6 million Venerables' sacred power. When all 7 of them used it at the same time, it was a destructive weapon. Oh no, he wants to exhaust us to death. Don't let this guy succeed. Sword Intense Shield. At this moment, the 4 descendants of the Demon Arch, the 6 sages, Nangong Jichin, Wu Pianju, True Dragon Holy King, and Thousand Fox Holy King all activated their defenses together. Bang! 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 The power of the star explosion, which was enough to destroy 1/4 of the Sword Realm, bloomed in the space-time dimension. When the energy wave dissipated, everyone was not in any danger. Other than consuming a lot of sacred power, they were actually unharmed. Buzz! At this moment, an absolute flame arrow that was overflowing with light shot over at an extremely fast speed. The arrows rained down like rain. His holy power was like a sea of fire, burning everything in its path, forcing everyone to defend themselves once again. Lin Chen's real body held a 9-cloud star fury bow in his hand and shot continuously to disrupt their rhythm. Then, the Avatar took the opportunity to recover his sacred power and used another star explosion. After the terrifying explosion, everyone's defenses were still intact. They were not damaged at all. You can still block it? Lin Chen frowned. In the blink of an eye, he had consumed nearly 40 million sacred power runes. Even if he killed a large number of enemies in the outside world and dropped a large number of attribute light balls, there was still a limit to the unique rune energy. Damn it, this battle of attrition is not going to work. I have to change my strategy. I have to be flexible and learn to be flexible, just like changing positions. I have to be flexible and think more. They're all fighting. In essence, there is no difference between bed techniques and battle techniques. Using the nine tribulations star explosion again, or using my real body to use the most powerful star explosion. This will make me enter a weakened state and instantly become a 5-second man. I can't be too fierce in one go. I have to maintain the rhythm of my attacks and maintain the strength of my attacks, as well as the strength of my attacks. Although Lin Chen's doppelganger had a strong foundation, all the experts present were existences that surpassed ordinary king sages. If they joined forces, no one in the mortal world could kill them except for those below the level of a true god. This was also the reason why Lin Chen had pulled them into the super space-time dimension. If any of the experts here escaped, they would be in big trouble in the future. Wu Pianju sneered. Lin Chen, it's about time to show yourself. Your doppelgangers are useless against us. Is this your strategy to deal with us by hiding behind our backs and shooting us in the dark? Or is your transformation technique that can make your real body stronger temporarily, able to last until you exhaust us to death? Wu Pianju was not as crazy as before. He seemed to have seen through everything and was confident. He was not afraid of Lin Chen at all. Wu Pianju, don't be so happy. Everyone here today is a lucky audience. Lin Chen walked out of the void step by step. He was wearing the 5-piece God of War set, and a faint divine light shone around him. Yang Qianfan and Nangong Xuanyuan's eyes flashed with greed. The Red Moon Demoness chuckled. You are indeed a human wanted by the Demon Emperor. You are truly a godly person. Throughout the history of the human race, I have never heard of such a heaven-defying human like you. The True Dragon Sacred King and the 1,000 Fox Sacred King were shocked. Just what kind of deranged thing had Lin Chen done? Why did he attract so much attention? He actually made the demon emperors of the 4 demon clans want him. They even sent so many demon clan experts to enter the sacred boundary. Lin Chen smiled. Oh, the demon emperor wants me? Could it be that my name has spread to the demon race? The Red Moon Demoness looked calm, but she was actually afraid. She covered her mouth and laughed. Your Excellency Lin Chen, we can't do anything to each other right now. How about we each take a step back? Lin Chen suddenly smiled. Take a step back? No. I am a person who is indifferent to life and death. My request today is very simple. Either I will be killed by all of you. Lin Chen smiled very innocently. Or I will kill all of you. Boom, boom, boom. Time and space trembled. The 5-piece God of War set released an invincible divine light that swept through the heavens. Lin Chen's pure power sword. The 5-piece God Slayer plus God of War set. Chapter 1773. Absolute Life and Death. Lin Chen's body lit up in orange flames as he chose Ying Jiufeng. It was the God Slayer combined with the absolute life and death talent. Lin Chen, you're finally going all out. Ying Jiufeng took a step forward, and the 9 divine birds behind her grew even more powerful. Lin Chen's pure strength was enhanced by the God Slayer and absolute life and death. The God of War set increased it to 18 million venerable power, and it was still climbing. Boom, boom, boom. With Lin Chen as the center, a terrifying wind pressure formed and forced everyone to take a small step back. This wind pressure came from Lin Chen's pure strength, which had temporarily broken through to a new level. Boom! The colorful peacock above Ying Jiufeng's head was suddenly absorbed into her body. Then, the colorful peacock opened its tail and bloomed, shooting out a magnificent rainbow light that filled the sky. Every streak of rainbow light contained an attack power that could easily crush an ultimate holy king. It was not at the level of Sage King at all. Lin Chen took a step forward, and his divine light shone brightly. Lin Chen's pure strength exploded instantly, and his fists rained down like a storm. Bam! 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 Streaks of golden light shot out in all directions. When the rainbow light shattered, Lin Chun used his pure strength to crush it and came to the top of Ing Jiofeng's head. One annihilation, the divine bird, Qing Wan, entered her body, and Ing Jiofeng let out a sharp cry. The divine bird, Qing Wan, opened its mouth and spat out a bluish-green firestorm. Golden body of the god of war. The god of war set's special feature was activated, and divine light shone. Lin Chun raised his leg, and the god of war's leg armor shone brightly. His leg smashed down like a hammer, and his pure strength tore apart. Chi! Bam! Bam! When the bluish-green firestorm was torn apart and exploded, everyone was shocked. Lin Chun's pure strength had reached the level of an early-stage quasi-god. The cultivation of saint energy was comparable to the power of 10 million venerables, and it was the peak of the Saint King realm. After the power of 10 million venerables, one would surpass the Saint King realm and begin to enter the realm of quasi-gods. Saint energy would then undergo a qualitative change. This process was called the reincarnation sacred realm by the human Saint Kings. After entering the reincarnation sacred realm, one had already surpassed the limits of a sacred king. Moreover, less than 1 in 100 Saint Kings could enter the reincarnation saint realm. Only saints who had entered the reincarnation sacred realm had the possibility of peeking into the divine realm. Among the experts present, only Wu Pianju had entered the reincarnation sacred realm. The reincarnation saint stage required the saint energy to flow from the 100th saint point back to the first saint point to refine the saint energy. Only after going through the baptism of reincarnation 10 times would the saint energy reach a certain level of qualitative change. Once the saint energy reached the level of 20 million saint energy, the saint energy would reach the quasi-god realm. Ing Jiofeng shouted coldly when she saw the azure wand's shadow grow dimmer. "What are you waiting for? This guy is burning his life force to fight. This is the best opportunity for us to join forces and take him down. If we continue to hold back, we won't have another chance in the future." Ing Jiofeng's words enlightened everyone. Nangong Xianyuan and Yang Qianfan looked at each other. The passion in their eyes explained everything. The power that Lin Chen's quasi-divine artifact gave him surpassed the limits of the reincarnation sacred realm. It was enough to show how rare it was. If they could get their hands on it, it was not impossible for them to peek into the divine realm in the future. Ing Jiofeng's 9 great divine birds was originally used to deal with Lin Chen's divine elephant shard that destroyed the sacred prison. However, it seemed that it was not the time for him to use that move. Goo. At this time, Wu Pianju's body expanded first. His height was forcefully pulled from 8 feet to 10 feet. His divinity suddenly skyrocketed. There was a peerless divine aura of a martial god descending to the world. If an ordinary sacred king was in front of Wu Pianju at this moment, they would probably kneel down on the spot. Phew! This father's divine blood is really difficult to control. After this battle, I'm afraid I'll fall to the level of an ordinary sacred king for hundreds of years. Wu Pianju's breath was like a dragon. His aura was at the same level as Ing Jiofeng's. He was even superior to Ing Jiofeng. Lin Chun did not say another word, crushing over with a backhand punch. Rip! Wu Pianju used the martial god steps. His speed was on a different level from before. He even appeared in front of Lin Chun before he could punch. Wu Pianju stretched out his 5 fingers. With a boom, he actually blocked the power of Lin Chen's punch at close range. A ferocious smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Lin Chun, don't tell me you only have this. F***CKU. Lin Chun raised his leg. A pure strength knee that could crush thousands of stars instantly hit Wu Pianju's dantian. Bang! Wu Pianju was sent flying. He spat out blood in shock and a large number of colorful attribute light balls. It was very comical. This time, his internal organs were almost crushed. This guy's pure strength was still increasing. Lin Chun sneered mockingly. I don't even know what you're pretending to be. If I can kill you once, I can kill you countless times. In the next moment, Lin Chun narrowed his eyes. He suddenly turned around, and a group of giants appeared in the space-time dimension. The four descendants of the Demon Emperor were filled with demonic energy. Every wisp of demonic energy was as deep as the sea. The mountain sea prison could not compare to them. Among them, the descendant of the sky burying Demon Emperor, Zhu Jiusheng, had the strongest demonic energy. Terrifying demonic energy surged into every pore of their bodies. Their demonic bodies were dozens of times stronger than before. He could crush the stars with a single breath. Lin Chun said excitedly, "It's the Demon Emperor's demonic energy origin." The Demon Emperor's demonic energy origin. This was the demonic energy origin that only the descendants of the Demon Emperor, who were close to the Supreme Demon King, could use. A wisp of the Demon Emperor's demonic energy could transform thousands of demons, not to mention the most powerful demonic energy origin. Ordinary demons would explode and die if they absorbed even a wisp of it. The reason why Lin Chun was so excited was because the attributes of these fellows had suddenly increased by several levels. The true dragon Saint King transformed into a blue true dragon. He had transformed from a human into a true dragon. Lin Chun could feel that this dragon was different from ordinary dragons. Its dragon horns were like a cow's, its head was like a crocodile's, its scales were snow white, and its body was slender. It was surrounded by a ring of flames and shrouded in layers of holy light. The dragon's head was covered in clouds, and the dragon's tail was flaming. It released a desolate aura that could dominate the world. It was as if it was not a dragon from the sacred boundary. The true dragon Saint King said in a low, muffled voice, "I have given you enough face by using the divine fate that I obtained from the God Emperor's ruins to deal with you. Lin Chun, today, either you die or I die." On the other side, the foxtail swayed slightly like a peacock's tail. There were tens of thousands of foxtails. Divine Fox Phantom. This was the trump card of the Thousand Fox Saint King. Although it was not as strong as the true Dragon Saint King, it could temporarily possess the combat power of a reincarnation saint. The other 5 saints were equally ferocious. The 9 Sun Saint King, Jintai, he transformed into a 9-winged golden crow. His 9 layers of absolute yang could incinerate the heavens. The demonic Moon Heavy Ears transformed into an 8-armed demon god with 4 heads and 6 ears. His feet were surrounded by layers of death chi. It was as if he was possessed by a demon god from hell. The strongest blade of the world, Nangong Xianyuan, was surrounded by whirlpools of blade chi. Each blade chi contained an unparalleled blade technique and a supreme divinity. This was the remnant blade chi of the blade god's legacy that he obtained from the heaven-defying opportunity. It contained the remnant blade techniques that the blade god had painstakingly practiced before he became a god. The evil Sunflower King, Jin Wuxia, was even stranger. He transformed into an 80 feet tall demon. His hair was like black iron, and his eyes were as big as a vat. He was completely different from his previous handsome demonic appearance. Half of him was actually a demon. The tyrant lord, Yang Qianfan, had the smallest change in appearance, but he was also the most terrifying. His tyrant halberd quickly shrunk and jumped in his palm as if it had a life of its own. Time stopped, and there was a surge of godly blood aura. Yang Qianfan's tyrant halberd contained the godly blood of a true god. The terrifying aura seemed to want to tear the heavens and earth apart. This group of experts that stood at the peak of the sacred boundary were all forced to use their final killing moves by Lin Chun. The transcending space-time plane made it impossible for them to retreat. Especially with Lin Chun's strength, it was enough for them to gamble everything. Everyone unleashed their trump cards and killing moves that surpassed the limits of the Sage Realm, except for the Thousand Fox Saint King. However, at this moment, Lin Chun's eyes lit up as he spoke. "Do you have any more killing moves like this?" Silence. A short but strange silence. Do you think this is too little? Presently, all of us here possessed the combat strength to level the sword domain to the ground. This was a quasi-god level battle. Without a true god, no one dared to say that they could suppress them. Ying Jiufeng was so angry that he laughed. Lin Shun, I think you've gone crazy. Die. He stretched out his claw again, and the Kuan Pong above his head ruthlessly crushed towards Lin Shun. Lin Shun's heart was beating with hot and excited blood. His entire body was filled with fighting spirit, and his brain was heating up. Since you've used all your killing moves, I won't hold back anymore. System, activate the orange tier innate skill, Godly Defiance. Chapter 1774. The God-defying talent was almost useless against creatures below the God level. However, against creatures above the God level, especially true gods, the higher the divinity, the more powerful it was. Demon Emperor level experts had the same demonic aura as divinity, and they would also be judged as God level experts by the talent. Rumble. A burning orange talisman with the word defying engraved on it suddenly bloomed above Lin Chen's head. When the talisman exploded, it instantly merged into Lin Chen's body. At this moment, Lin Chen's cultivation and pure strength skyrocketed. His saint points broke through to 124, and he instantly broke through to the Saint Heart realm. The most terrifying thing was that after Lin Shun wore the Aries set, his pure strength skyrocketed for the third time. This was the first time the 5-piece Aries set showed the power of 1/10,000,000th of the complete set. The God-defying talent temporarily increased Lin Shen's cultivation and pure strength, and it had an effect similar to the God-slayer talent. Lin Shun then used the God-defying talent's enhancement to raise the Aries set's upgrade limit. His attacks also carried the God-defying talent's attack characteristics. He still has a trump card, Attack. Don't give him a chance to breathe. The 4 Demon Emperor's sons, Wu Pianju and Ying Jiufeng, reacted the fastest and used their killer moves. The 9 Divine Phoenixes merged, and the 9 Phoenixes merged, forming a myriad of birds bowing to the Phoenix. When a sound wave roared, it was mixed with a vast amount of primordial energy. Wu Pianju used her sword, which was formed purely by half-god and half-saint power. She raised her sword high and slashed down violently. Nangong Jichen and Nangong Xianyuan gathered all their saber intent and used their strongest attack. The 4 Demon Emperor's afterimages appeared, forming endless afterimages. There was an extinct 9-headed demon snake, a headless 8-armed heavenly demon that had disappeared in the long history of the demon race, and so on. Many kinds of majestic demonic bodies appeared in the space-time dimension and surged over. Every move was comparable to a quasi-god's shocking attack, and they all came crashing down on Lin Shun. If this attack erupted from the sword domain, just this wave of attack alone would be enough to wipe out more than 80% of the creatures in the sword domain. A region was so vast that even a sage would need several decades to travel through the void. Gods, on the other hand, only needed one move. Gods could create worlds, and they could also destroy worlds. Quasi-gods were already beginning to approach this domain. However, Lin Shun seemed to follow his instincts and pulled his 5 fingers horizontally. With this tug, divine power shook the heavens, and ghosts and gods were annihilated. His strength overturned the universe, and a peerless divine power that could destroy ghosts and gods erupted from his 5 fingers. 5 golden divine radiance flashed over from a void. Boom! Bang! 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 All the attacks were torn apart and turned into fragments of light that scattered in the ultra-space-time dimension. Bang! All the experts retreated explosively, and Ying Jiufeng and Wu Pianju, who were at the front, were in the most miserable state. They actually spat out a large amount of blood. The 2 of them were horrified. He clearly had the defenses of his divine blood and the will of the divine phoenix protecting him. So how is it that the shockwaves were able to break through his defenses and enter his body? How is this possible? Just what level has his strength reached? I've only felt this kind of pressure from the true gods of the human race. His attack can penetrate my divine blood defense. I can only take it head-on and not block it head-on. Before he finished speaking, Holy Ruler Thousand Fox and Nangong Jichen's faces stiffened, and they were filled with disbelief. Crack! Crack! Bang! The two of them exploded on the spot. Their holy bodies and essence spirits were reduced to ashes. So strong? Even Lin Shun was filled with shock, and he looked as if he had picked up a treasure. He couldn't even sense what level his pure strength had reached now. Lin Shun instantly felt that his pure strength had broken through to a very mysterious level. In the past, when he had obtained a substantial increase in pure strength, it was as if his strength had increased by a large margin. However, the most direct feedback to Lin Shun now was that his strength had taken form. For example, Lin Shun could control the strength of a full-strength punch and condense it into a finger. He could even condense all his pure strength and burst it out with a look after spending some time. This was an absolute transformation, and it was definitely not a simple increase in strength. It was more like the concept of pure strength had changed into a new level. The increase in strength was not only an increase in strength, but more importantly, it was control. Lin Shun raised his hand and grabbed at Ying Jiufeng. He, who was still vomiting blood, immediately froze in the air, and a strange gurgling sound came from his throat. He was like a chicken that had been grabbed by the neck by Lin Shun. An indescribable pure strength suppressed the nine-headed phoenix phantom behind him, and it couldn't move. The descendants of the four fiend emperors felt their scalps go numb. The will of the 9 great divine phoenixes was actually lifted up by Lin Shun like a chicken. What kind of power is this? I'll let you possess my body. Lin Shun punched. The wind from his punch pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 earths, and pierced through Ying Jiufeng. Ying Jiufeng's bones cracked, and his eyeballs popped out. I'll let you destroy the world. Lin Shun's left fist followed, and golden light burst out. With a flash of divine radiance, his fist landed on Ying Jiufeng's handsome face. Lin Shun, we still have things to talk about. My Genesis Alliance, and Ying Jiufeng used the last of his strength to send a voice transmission to beg for mercy. Genesis my ass. Lin Shun roared. Your Genesis Alliance was already sent back to its hometown by me, and you're still acting so shamelessly? Die. Lin Shun punched again and again, and the light was distorted. Even the light was shattered into nothingness by him. The dimension beyond time could be said to be chaotic. You're in the top 10 of the Saint Talent rankings, and you insist on killing mortals. Without that bit of providence, are you going to eat SH asterisk T? Is it so hard to give us mortals a way to live? Lin Shun used all his strength and punched again and again. With a wave of his arm, a terrifying gust of wind swept up and hit Ying Jiufeng fiercely. His 9 great divine phoenixes became dimmer and dimmer. Ying Jiufeng was completely beaten to a pulp. His flesh was torn, and his divine bones were shattered. The moment the 9 great divine phoenixes disappeared, Ying Jiufeng was crushed by Lin Shun's punch, and there was nothing left of him. The descendants of the Demon Emperor were dumbfounded. Immortals? This Lin Shun called himself immortal? Is this the combat power of a mortal? Ying Jiufeng's Providence plant pouch was then destroyed by Lin Shun, and a large number of treasures were destroyed by Lin Shun into attribute light balls. A dazzling green attribute light shot into the sky. After Ying Jiufeng died, he dropped a green attribute treasure chest. Lin Shun grabbed it in his hand. Congratulations, host. You've obtained a Godhead attribute treasure chest. Upon opening, you'll obtain Immortal Godhead Fragment, 1/3, an energy-type Godhead. When a system screen popped up, Lin Shun didn't even care about what he had obtained, let alone the attribute light balls around him. The God Defiant and God Slayer talents both had a time limit. He wanted to kill all these guys before the time limit was up. The strongest descendant of the Demon Emperor, the top 10 of the Saint Talent rankings. He would crush them all. Chapter 1775. If the time limit of the 2 talents was up, Lin Chen's basic cultivation would return to its original level after losing the 2 trump cards. The holy body and the foundation of cultivation at that time couldn't support the pure power of the war god set. Rip. At this moment, Yang Qianfan was the first to recover. He dared to attack Lin Chun with the Overlord halberd burning with divine blood. Stepping on raging flames, he burst forth with a speed that surpassed all Saint Realm experts. In the blink of an eye, he arrived above Lin Chen's head and furiously slashed down with his halberd. Lin Chen raised his head. His eyes, which were shining with orange divine light, focused. Pure energy condensed into 2 giant walls, blocking Yang Qianfan's tyrant halberd from the left and right. Suddenly, the halberd was stopped in midair. "You bunch of idiots, hurry up and attack. Are you waiting for him to kill us?" Yang Qianfan's angry roar woke everyone up. Before they had the chance to cooperate, Lin Chun swung his leg like a battle axe, sending Yang Qianfan flying and crushing one of his arms. 8 ultimate slashes of the Einherjar. 8 streaks of light flashed. Wu Pianju's attack was so fast that only quasi-gods could react in time. Clang! Clang! Lin Chun was pushed back thousands of feet. The golden light spread, but Lin Chun was unharmed. Sneak attack? Unfortunately, I'm harder than you. Lin Chen's 5 fingers pressed forward, and a destructive force burst out as he attacked Wu Pianju. Oh no! Wu Pianju raised his sword to block, but when the golden light shone on it, the Einherjar sword in his hand suddenly shattered. His Einherjar sword was similar to the Einherjar's unique skill and was not a real divine weapon. After the attack was suppressed, it was shattered by Lin Chen's palm strike. The remaining force of Lin Chen's palm slammed into Wu Pianju's chest like a raging dragon. It penetrated all of his defenses, shattered his ribs, and completely crushed his saint heart. Wu Pianju's eyes were dull, and his face was filled with disbelief. How could his divine blood defense be penetrated again? Why is this happening? I've already obtained my father's divine blood, so I should be the winner. Wu Pianju had fallen and dropped a large number of attribute light balls and a snow-white treasure chest with special attributes. Lin Chun casually grabbed the attribute treasure chest, obtained a treasure chest with special divinity attributes. When the system screen popped up, Lin Chun glanced over it. It was as if he had been struck by lightning. His face was filled with ecstasy. A hexagonal crystal-like jadeite godhead fragment with half an elephant's body sealed within it floated before Lin Chen's eyes. Congratulations, host. Upon opening, you will obtain Divine Elephant Divinity Fragment, 3/3, Divinity Item Divinity. The complete divinity has been automatically placed in the divinity pane. You can use it after the cooldown is over. The 3rd Divine Elephant, Shard of Divinity. Wu Pianju's death had actually allowed Lin Chun to obtain the final Divine Elephant Godhead Fragment. Sure enough, Wu Pianju's divine blood dropped some good stuff. Lin Chun was overjoyed. He suppressed the ecstasy in his heart and looked at the other saint talents. Wu Pianju's death had completely sent chills down the spines of the remaining 5 saint talents. The 4 demon, the archdescendants, and the true dragon, Holy King. They felt a fatal sense of danger and fear. You'll be injured with 1 hit. Be careful. What kind of monster is this guy? I want to go back. Why did I provoke this monster? He's not human at all. After entering the god's reversal state, the enemy could either avoid Lin Chen's attacks and fight him or take his attacks head-on. Furthermore, they had to take them head-on and not be swept by any of the attack's aftershocks. Otherwise, all defenses would be useless if they were hit. This was practically bullying. No, bullying a god. They could attack, but couldn't defend. However, Lin Chun could still defend. Wasn't this F*** bullying a god? Lin Chen's aura was overbearing. He took a step forward and crushed the billowing airwaves. His hands were like sharp blades that pierced through Jean Tai's 9-winged golden crow. Rip! Bam! Bam! The golden light collapsed and exploded continuously. Jin Tianyi let out a shrill scream. No, Lin Shun. This young master admits defeat. You're the Saint Talent lists. Lin Shun raised his hand and slapped Jin Tianyi's head, turning him into a human skin on the spot. A pile of attribute light balls exploded and 2 gold and orange attribute treasure chests floated. Host opened 2 special attribute treasure chests. Obtained 1 top-grade gold attribute odd crystal and 1 top-grade fire attribute odd crystal. Chi. Boom. Boom. The 8-armed giant devil that Yaoyue Chong'er had transformed into roared furiously as he swung his giant pillar-like demonic arms at Lin Shen's head. The 9-headed demon snake, transformed by the red moon Moji, spat out a giant storm of corrosive poison mist. Holy kings would die if they touched it, and those below the reincarnation sacred realm couldn't resist it. Zhu Jiusheng's sky-burying demonic qi condensed into an endless giant palm that smashed down. Have you all gone mad? Good. I'll get rid of you all in one go. Lin Shen pushed his palms towards the sky, and divine light exploded. His god strength that could sweep through 3,000 worlds exploded and collided with Yu Chong'er's 8 demon arms. Lin Shen clenched his fist and completely crushed the 8-armed giant demon. With a backhand slap, he sent Chong'er flying and crippled him. At the same time, Lin Shen took a deep breath and his aura swallowed the mountains and rivers. Even the light was sucked away by him. In the next moment, when Lin Shen opened his mouth and exhaled, he spat out billowing waves of air that could destroy the heavens. Like a cosmic storm, it blew away all the corrosive poison mist. The red moon Moji was sent flying, and her seductive face was filled with disbelief. Just a breath of energy from his dantian was enough to overturn her 9-headed demon snake. Lin Shen turned around like lightning and kicked towards the sky, crushing the sky, burying Devil Emperor's son's shocking palm. Jin Wuxia and Nangong Xinyuan attacked from the left and right. It was as if he had gone mad, pressing forward courageously. Lin Shen crushed their attacks with a finger and a palm. The other 2 Devil Emperor descendants attacked again. Lin Shen's aura continued to rise, and he continued to beat them, as if he had entered an unstoppable realm. Everyone's eyes turned red. They fell into a frenzied state. The remaining Saint Geniuses and Devil Emperor descendants had already lost their normal rationality and state of mind. They weren't prepared to die yet. They didn't even think about the possibility of dying in this encirclement of Lin Shen. As the peak experts of the human race and the devil race, they were the most respected existences in terms of movement skills. They were the strongest existences below the human race's gods and the devil race's devil emperors. Even if they met an enemy they couldn't beat, it wasn't a problem for them to escape. So, they weren't prepared to die in battle. But in this battle with Lin Shen, they truly felt the fear of death. They couldn't run or defend. They could only fight. If they won, they would eliminate the enemy in their hearts. If they lost, they would be consigned to eternal damnation. Lin Shen's fists were like falling stars, tearing open a hole in their joint attack. First, it was the Red Moon Devil Concubine, who was smashed into pieces by Lin Shen. Then, it was Nangong Xinyuan, who exploded with a punch and turned into nothingness. Then, it was heaven-burying Devil Emperor's son, Zhu Jiusheng. Bang, bang, bang. Zhu Jiusheng's devil body shattered like glass and was smashed into pieces by Lin Shen. The human race that Royal Father wants is actually this strong? Everyone says that the human race is a scammer, but my race is a scammer. I can't accept this. Zhu Jiusheng died with regret. Annihilation. Annihilation. Crazy annihilation. Lin Shen's violent beating crushed all the experts in the ultra space-time plane. Whether it was the human race's sacred boundary or the devil race's 4 great devil realms, they all exploded at this moment. Once these experts died, the situation of the 2 races would completely change. Chapter 1776. Desolate Demon and Devil World. The eastern part of the Devil World was filled with endless battles. Burning, killing, looting, and fighting. The devil race had always been a traditional trait. Boom, boom. Devil clouds gathered. Of the dozens of stars in the Devil World, the four most dazzling stars suddenly dimmed and disappeared. At this moment, the devil race was shaken. The civil war came to an abrupt end. Countless devil race were shocked and aghast. The Devil Emperor's star represented the providence of the Devil Emperor's son. When the strong died, their providence returned to heaven and earth. Only a very small number of strong people had great potential and strength to affect their race. Their providence was connected to their race. The providence of the two were connected and complemented each other. Moreover, this kind of existence could affect the providence of a race. This kind of genius was also called the Saint Talent List. Only geniuses recognized by the providence of heaven and earth were qualified to enter the Saint Talent List. And the devil race were the descendants of the Devil Emperor. Now, the devil race's providence was weakened. The star that represented the providence of the Devil Emperor's descendants was destroyed. What did this mean? Complete death. Rumble. Bang. 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 In the desolate demon and devil world's extreme North Star system, a terrifying demonic might erupted. It filled the sky and shattered countless stars and planes. Jiusheng died in the human race? Could it be that those old fellows of the human race have come into being? Or did those true gods return? Even those old quasi-gods of the human race are not qualified to kill Jiusheng. Don't tell me it's Lin Chun. Sacred Boundary's human race, Lin Chun Brat. This emperor will remember this. Bloodthirsty demon world. The 9 blood seas angrily swept through the sky. An angry roar tore through the layers of planes. The heavenly demon supremacies of the bloodthirsty demon world were shaken until their blood boiled and they knelt down in horror. A hoarse and vast demonic voice spread throughout the bloodthirsty demon world. Hong Yue died in the human race's sacred boundary? Who is it? Who has this kind of combat power? She has this emperor's demonic origin energy and can retreat even if she encounters a quasi-god. Go and find out what happened to the human race. From this day on, the 4 great demon races began to go berserk. Sacred boundary of the human race, the oldest Chun territory. At the summit of the mountain, a youth in scarlet clothes opened his eyes. Blood rain poured down from the sky. The blood-red clothed young man murmured to himself as a gloomy hurricane howled in the sky. A saint genius has fallen? In the sacred boundary, the sage monarch domain, everyone was shocked. At the top of the pitch-black ancient pagoda, this group of supreme masters, the weakest of whom was a saint king, were all staring at the Saint Talent List in their palms. The names on the Saint Talent List were dimming and disappearing at a speed visible to the naked eye. One after another, peerless names from the ancient times, one after another, the names that created history, were completely withdrawing from the stage of history. This kind of situation was unprecedented. The Saint Talent List had been overturned. Over 100 saint geniuses had perished in the sword domain. There had never been such a situation in history. There could only be one person who would massacre the Saint Talent List. Lin Chun. However, this seemed to be just a prelude. An elder with blue eyes said in a trembling voice as he pointed at the top of the Saint Talent List, feeling his scalp go numb and a chill run down his spine. Ying Jiufeng's name has disappeared. An overlord in the top 10 of the Saint Talent List had perished, and it was the leader of the Founding Era Alliance, Ying Jiufeng. In other words, the result of that battle had been announced to the world through the Saint Talent List. Whoosh! Following that, another name dimmed. The 8th on the Saint Talent List, top blade of the world, Nangong Xianyuan, was dead. Li. All the powerful masters felt a chill down their spines. Another top 10 on the Saint Talent List had died. One had to know that every top 10 on the Saint Talent List was a peerless figure who had created a new era. The lowest level they could achieve in the future was the reincarnation saint stage, the peak of the Saint Kings. And every generation's top 10 on the Saint talent list was generally stronger than the previous generation. The death of one top 10 on the Saint talent list was already a disaster. 2 dead? The entire sacred boundary would be shaken 3 times. However, it was as if this matter wasn't shocking enough. In the 36 domains of the sacred boundary, under the watchful eyes of all the powerful masters, the top names on the Saint talent list quickly dimmed. The 7th on the Saint talent list, Evil Lord Sunflower Jean Wuxia, was dead. The 6th on the Saint talent list, Evil Moon Chong Air, was dead. The 5th on the Saint talent list, Nine Sun Saint King Jin Tai, was also dead. The 4th on the Saint talent list, Tyrant Lord Yang Qianfan, was dead. Many powerful masters fainted on the spot after witnessing this strange scene on the Saint talent list. The entire sacred boundary suddenly changed. The providence of the human race was weakened again and again. Dead, they were all dead. Apart from Li Ziki, who was the 9th on the Saint talent list, and the mysterious top 3 on the Saint talent list, 6 of the top 10 on the Saint talent list were dead. Was Lin Chun still human? This kid was going to pierce through the sacred boundary. A strange silence filled the hearts of all the powerful masters on the top of the tower. After a long while, it was unknown which one of the brothers had cursed. Mother of Asterisk Cur, why did they go and provoke this lunatic Lin Chun for no reason? In the space-time dimension, Lin Chen's pure power and cultivation suddenly decreased by a lot. The time limit of the God-defying talent had just ended, and the God-Slayer talent still had a short period of time left. Obtained 2 million rune energy, 1,200,000 sacred grade cultivation technique essence, 900,000 top grade heaven path points, 32. 9 billion set essence, 100 million top grade talent points, 19. 3 billion mid-grade strengthening points. Lin Chen's attribute value skyrocketed. The number of attribute points dropped by killing the Saint Geniuses and Demon Emperor's descendants could be said to be terrifying and unprecedented. Even if the God Slayer talent did not drop any growth attribute value, Lin Chen's harvest was still very terrifying. While the clone was frantically collecting the attribute light balls, Lin Chen collected more than a dozen attribute treasure chests floating in the void. Open special treasure chest. Obtained 1 top-grade metal attribute odd crystal. Obtained 6 orange-grade exclusive talent treasure chests. 1 permanent orange-grade talent enhancer, suitable for talents below advanced orange-grade. 3 top-grade orange-grade alchemy handprint fragments, 3/5. Special treasures, 3 top-grade metal attribute odd crystals. 1 top-grade fire attribute odd crystal. Lin Chen was pleasantly surprised. The top 10 on the Saint talent list are all good stuff. There were even top-grade, orange-grade alchemy handprint fragments. One had to know that in the entire sacred boundary, there were only 3 forces that possessed top-grade, orange-grade alchemy handprints. And the top-grade, orange-grade alchemy handprint was a legend. It had never appeared before. If Lin Chen could obtain this grade of alchemy handprint, his alchemy foundation would improve by leaps and bounds. Next, Lin Chen opened 4 black attribute treasure chests that were shrouded in demonic aura and surging with demonic intent. Opened 4 Demon Emperor attribute treasure chests. Obtained 400 trillion sacred grade blood, 600 billion sacred grade spiritual power, 40 million top grade heaven path points. Rumble. A huge amount of blood and chi attributes were refined into Lin Chen's body, and he subconsciously urged the clone to help him absorb it. What is this? Next, the last attribute treasure chest attracted Lin Chen's attention. This treasure chest was entwined with dragon patterns and contained a mysterious aura. This attribute treasure chest made Lin Chen feel an inexplicable dragon aura, but it did not feel like a bloodline attribute treasure chest. This was an attribute treasure chest dropped by the true dragon Holy King after he died. Chapter 1777. When he opened it, Host opened special energy attribute treasure chest. True dragon divine fetus aura. Boom. A ball of milky white energy in the shape of a true dragon floated in Lin Chen's palm. It was lifelike, like a giant dragon in its embryonic form. Lin Chen could feel that this ball of energy was nurturing a new power. Such pure energy. This is the attribute treasure chest that the true dragon Holy King dropped. Maybe I can let my holy dragon absorb it and have another fortuitous encounter. Lin Chen kept this ball of energy. Seeing that all the attributes had been collected, he teleported out of the dimension. The limitless ocean. Lin Chen had just teleported out when he felt that the world had turned upside down. It was as if the whole world had tilted in an instant. A fist wind crushed everything in the world and swept past Lin Chen from afar. Boom! When the spatial fragments of the unbounded sea scattered in all directions, a blood-soaked figure stood trembling in the void. It was Qin Zhouxiao. He was bleeding from all 7 orifices. His eyes had lost their light as he muttered to himself. This fist is so damn powerful. Luckily, I still blocked it. Qin Zhouxiao's eyes rolled back as he fell from the sky. Whoosh! A 5-colored stream of light flashed past. Fei Wuxuan used her movement technique to catch Qin Zhouxiao and heal his injuries. Lin Chen immediately looked around. The remaining heavenly demon venerables were all killed by the dragon race and servants. And in the battle with the holy prison, Lin Chen's team of 17 almost won. A total of 15 people were killed. Only Jin Taichu and Jiang Puyi were left. Of Lin Chen's 17 servants, 10 were seriously injured and unconscious, and the remaining 7 could move. They were surrounded. A sword light slashed through the encirclement, and the sword light flashed wildly as they rushed out of the encirclement. Jin Taichu and Jiang Puyi ran in different directions at the same time. The true dragon Holy King is dead. Now is the time to be free. Now is the best time. Both of them were seriously injured, and they ran like crazy. Just as everyone was about to give chase, Lin Chen's voice rang in their minds. Don't chase. Go and heal your injuries first. Leave the rest to me. 10,000 zhang tall cloud shadows shuttled through the horizon. Lin Chen crushed the billowing waves of air and shot an arrow at Jin Taichu with fury of the 9 heavens in his hand. Jin Taichu was shocked. Just as he was about to activate his last bit of sword intent to block the attack, the arrow light split into 5. Jin Taichu's pupil shrank. Boom! On the other side, Lin Chen mobilized his last remaining clone to attack Jiang Puyi. 5 lantern-like, 9-colored divine lights bloomed between heaven and earth. Jiang Puyi and Jin Taichu were intercepted by Lin Chen and his illusionary doppelganger almost simultaneously. In the end, amidst the bloody rain and howling winds, the 2 children of the era, who had the title of the strongest holy kings of the human clan, had completely fallen. Lin Chen stepped through the air and came over, picking up the attribute light balls dropped by the 2 of them. You 2 are like arrows at the end of its flight. If I let you escape, Brother Chen won't be able to survive anymore. Lin Chen, who was in the God Slayer state, had the battle prowess of a reincarnation saint. The 2 of them were not at their peak, so naturally they could not escape from Lin Chen's several moves. All sorts of feelings welled up in the hearts of the experts hidden within the sword domain when they saw this scene. The sacred boundary had completely changed. From the beginning to the end, they had never thought that the Genesis Alliance would lose. Moreover, even if they lost, Lin Chen's people might be caught in a long-term tug-of-war with the Genesis Alliance, the Holy Prison, and many other forces. But unexpectedly, Lin Chen had used this battle to uproot the Genesis Alliance. This method was unparalleled in the world. Will the sacred boundary's next trend be a blessing or a curse? A fierce tiger has fallen, and an even more ferocious dragon has been born. Lin Chen is a young man who can change the existing forces of the human clan. Unless the gods come into being, no one can suppress his edge. No, with his methods. I'm afraid even the true gods don't have absolute confidence, right? While the experts in the sword realm were discussing buzz, buzz, buzz. At this time, the light of Lin Chen's additional saint point gradually dissipated, and the God Slayer talent state was removed. Lin Chen's body flashed in the sky, and when he returned to the servants, they were either seriously injured or unconscious, or had exhausted 99% of their saint power. They looked particularly horrifying. In this great battle, they could be said to have exhausted everything, especially Fong Ling and Lang Fanyan. The two of them looked as if they had aged 30 years. Their hair was white, and the traces of aging appeared on their cold and resolute faces. When they had just become Saint Kings, the two of them looked radiant, as if they had returned to their 30s. Now, they looked like old men past their 60s. Lin Chen did not say much. He held their palms and nodded. Everything is over. Fong Ling smiled. My lord, you don't have to be so sad. We had a great time fighting this battle. Lang Fanyan coughed up blood and laughed. Great. There's no battle more satisfying than this. My lord, to be able to see you proclaim yourself king in our lifetime, we have no regrets. Lin Chen laughed heartily. King my A**s. It's better to be free and unfettered. I'm not interested in ruling. The three men looked at each other and laughed. Then, Lin Shun glanced at Yu Wangsheng and Fei Wushuang, and the two of them understood his meaning. Lin Shun then smiled and cupped his fists at Li Ziki, who was in the void. Li Ziki immediately cupped his fists at Lin Shun, solemnly and respectfully. Lin Shun turned to all the servants, hidden powerhouses, and the dragon tribe, and said loudly, in today's battle, the upper echelons of the Genesis Alliance have been wiped out. Everyone, work together with the forces of the various regions to clear out the remaining rank, 9 sects and factions that have joined the Genesis Alliance. Lin Shun then looked at the powerhouses of the Dragon Tribe and smiled knowingly. Everyone from the Dragon Tribe, you can assist my people to eradicate the rank 9 sects that have wreaked havoc in the sacred boundary. Is that all right? The great Dragon King of the Extreme Hell Water Dragon Tribe cupped his fists and said seriously, it's not a problem at all. But there is a rule between the human tribe and the dragon tribe that we should not interfere with each other's forces. Lin Shen raised his hand and interrupted with a faint smile. Rules? From today onwards, Lin Shun, will be the rule. Whoever dares to talk about rules will have to come to me. Lin Shun. What do you think? What do you think? Domineering. Strong. Lin Shen's boldness was simply swift and decisive, and it made the powerhouses in the sword realm change their expressions. He already had the boldness to ignore the other rank, 9 forces. Lin Shun had the courage to do things to the end. The Extreme Hell Water Dragon King fell into deep thought, and her beautiful eyes shone brightly. She was in charge of a tribe. How could she not understand Lin Chen's intention this time? This young man is really interesting. He wants to use this opportunity to replace the old with the new. He wants to break the previous rules between the two tribes and make us completely stand on his side. Moreover, he wants to use the dragon tribe to destroy the rank, 9 sects of the human tribe. This is equivalent to telling all the powerhouses of the human tribe that he has an alliance with the dragon tribe. If the other forces of the human tribe want to touch him, they have to consider the weight of the majority of the desolate air dragon tribe. 3 birds with 1 stone. The Extreme Hell Water Dragon King and the other dragon kings looked at each other tacitly. The result was self-evident. The dragon tribe is willing to help. We will follow Lin Chen. Lin Chen's lips curled up. Everything was within his expectations. Taishu, you go with them. We will split into 3 groups. The main force will attack the rank 9 sects that have joined the Genesis, and the secondary force will deal with the remaining forces of the Genesis in the various regions. Lin Chen looked at Jiang Taishu. Although more than half of his aura had been consumed, it was not a problem for him to calculate the general trend. With the help of a powerful fortune teller, it would be easier to eliminate the remnants of the Genesis era. It would be like adding wings to a tiger. Yes, Taishu accepts the order. Jiang Taishu put away his storage ring. This was the mysterious storage ring he had obtained from the Heartbreak Red. Some of the absolute secrets of the Heartbreak Red were hidden inside. The servants were the same. After killing such a powerful opponent, they had also gained a lot. Lin Chun waved his hand. After destroying the remaining forces of a Genesis, the dragon tribe will come to the mystic realm to find me. The tribes that are participating in the battle today will each have 20 chances to upgrade their bloodlines. Hearing this, the dragons were overjoyed. Each tribe would have 20 chances to upgrade their bloodlines. They were determined to win this battle. At this moment, Lin Shun discovered that Lin Ping and had disappeared. He said in astonishment, "Where did that girl Ping go?" Jiang Wanner smiled. She went to raid the Genesis Alliance's assets. Lin Shun pretended to be serious. What? She ran so fast. She disappeared as soon as she raided the Genesis Alliance's assets. What bad habit. I don't know who she learned it from. I will scold her later. Jiang Wanner, that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.